trusted for over 46 years. Call A Plus Air Conditioning and Home Solutions at 512-450-1980. Locally owned, locally operated, A Plus. License B5235C.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
Jeff Quick started Quick Roofing in 1984 with one house. That one house has evolved into over 200,000 projects. Quick Roofing doesn't require any money up front until 100% completion and 100% satisfaction is achieved. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring the customer is getting everything they were promised. Quick Roofing believes if you can't take care of the customer, then you're not going to have a business. Quick Roofing has been around for 38 years. Schedule your free inspection at quickroofing.com.
From the UBO Business Services Studios, you're listening to KTXX FM and HD1 BK, KTAE AM Elgin, K270CO Round Rock.
If the price you see is the price you want to pay, come see Henna Chevrolet.
I went to sign the papers for a new Tahoe and saw the price jumped almost $4,000. I thought it was a typo, but turns out it's for overpriced add-ons like tint and floor mats. So I called Henna, got a price, brought a check, and left with a Tahoe.
For a lower price made clear, find new roads at HennaChevyAustin.com.
Henna Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
Did you know there are two things people realize when buying a bed? Mattress research is hard, and everything sounds the same. So, how do you find the right mattress? Simple. Just follow the science to Factory Mattress. At Factory Mattress, our exclusive Right Fit mattress matching technology uses science, not salesmen, to take the guesswork out of mattress shopping. Plus, come experience Smart Life, the auto-adjusting, no-compromising bed of the future.
My Factory Mattress.
Upgrade to a smarter night's sleep this weekend, and we'll pay the sales tax, while you save up to 53% on over $170,000 in closeouts, with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, get it home smarter, not harder, with free next-day delivery, setup, and removal. Experience the benefits of deep, restorative sleep by finding the right mattress today. Shop smarter, sleep better at Factory Mattress, for the love of sleep.
My Factory Mattress.
Guests on the Horn appear courtesy of the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline. Vaqueros now delivers and offers curbside pickup. For info on placing your lunch or dinner order, visit vaqueroscafe.com.
You damn right. Hope everybody is having a good Friday. It's a real good Friday if you're a college football fan. We got some spring games to deal with tomorrow. If you're a Longhorn fan, you know where and when, and we'll get you extra information on what's going on over at DKR. 1 day away. We'll talk plenty of that. Also, the NBA playoffs crank up officially this weekend. Plus, we still have to figure out who the 8 seeds are. We'll get into all of that discussion, and we will hopefully have some fun today on a Friday, because we normally do. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. Zay, just checking. Any bad Texas basketball news today? How are you?
Thank goodness, no.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can't handle that right now, but A.J. Johnson, you're $750,000 richer. I can't knock that one bit. It is Friday. I'm feeling good. Happy Friday, everybody. How you doing, Chad?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I'm rocking my Buck shirt today for Gerald McCoy. I feel like we might have talked him into retirement. We were just discussing him a couple days ago.
Oh, I thought he already retired.
And then how dare you, first of all.
I mean,
I know what you're saying. Because as a Bucks fan and a Cowboys fan, I really got to see him wear one of those uniforms, and I really did not get to see him wear the other one. Remember that when he went to training camp with the Cowboys and, I think it was his quad that he ripped
in
the workout?
Yeah.
I want to say, I'm trying to think of who the offensive lineman was. Just a weird, freakish just a little one-on-one drill, and all of a sudden Gerald McCoy's done. But Gerald McCoy retires, one of my favorite Sooners. We had that discussion the other day, too, like Sooners you can actually admit you like. Gerald's way up towards the top of my list. Wish him all the best.
Yeah, even though he's a Sooner, he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, 9 years with the Bucks, a little bit more than that with some other teams. I think he might have been on that Cam Newton Panthers Super Bowl team.
Interesting.
He was with the Panthers for a year or two. He never ended up with a ring, but I want to say he might have been on that team. And then the crazy thing with the Cowboys, little time with the Raiders. So Gerald McCoy retiring, one of the football notes today. Before we get into the spring game, Zay, I did want to ask you about another basketball story I saw. This TJ Bamba story. I don't know if that's a name that rings a bell for you at all. It's not a name I recognize. A guy that was at Washington State that has now transferred to Villanova. And I saw the announcement today. It said that he picked Villanova over Kansas, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia Tech, Auburn, North Carolina, and St. John's. So he had a little bit of a list going.
Yeah, he can hoop.
TJ Bamba saying that he feels like the best way for him to get drafted in the NBA is to go to Villanova because he was citing a couple of the recent guys that have been at Villanova that got, and got drafted in the NBA.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are going to be in the playoffs this weekend. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart playing for the Knicks, Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges for the Nets. So, yeah, Villanova, they do have a really good pipeline of NBA players, but that was when Jay Wright was there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That doesn't really match what he's saying. I get what he's saying school-wise, but Jay Wright is a huge reason those guys and winning. So a lot of eyes were focused on them when they were running through March. That's how those guys got to the NBA.
Because they just missed the tournament, right?
Yeah, they didn't make it.
For the first time since...
Now, they do have a
long time.
Now, they do have an elite lottery pick guy, Cam Whitmore. He'll get drafted in the lottery, and he was really good this year. But, yeah, they didn't make a tournament.
It is enough of a name. We were talking this week about if you're going to go to college to get you to the NBA, if you're at that level, there's kind of maybe two paths that people are taking now. Take the blue blood path, no matter what, because you're going to get eyeballs on you, or take the path to one of these teams, maybe like a San Diego State or Creighton or something like that, where it's a lesser, maybe it's a mid-major, or maybe it's a lesser-known team, but if it's a badass team that can make a run, you're going to get noticed that way.
Absolutely. And Texas fans, I'm hearing a lot of good things about Max Asmus, the Oral Roberts transfer that's averaged over 20-something points the last 3 years. He's a little slight at 6 foot, but he could really go. And I heard it's between Kansas State and Texas. So I don't like that with Jerome Tang because Asmus and Marquise Noel are very similar. So I know that's the pitch that Jerome Tang and Uric Malagi, that coaching staff in Manhattan, that's what they're throwing at Asmus. But hopefully Coach Terry and the coaching staff here could bring that guy in because we need guards, obviously.
So for you, does he fit that mold of a Noel? Like, could you see him
I think he's more of a scorer. Noel could really pass it. Yeah. Like, he was one of the leaders in assists in the nation this year. So even though he had that Harlem way of playing where he'd get you a bucket and he's just a straight-up pit bull, I think Asmus is a little bit more a score first, and then he'll pass it if necessary. But playing at Oral Roberts, he didn't have guys around him that he could necessarily pass it to because you got to know your personnel. Guys over there, they can't hoop like the guys at Kansas State and have no, Naqueen Tomlin and Keontae Johnson to pass it to at Oral Roberts like Marquise Noel did at Kansas State. So that is a big difference. Who knows? If he gets to the 40 acres, he might be more of a passer due to him playing on a higher level.
So we're keeping our eye on the transfer portal situation with college basketball, also the draft situation, a couple of dates to throw out, and then we'll talk spring game. I believe it's May 11th, if I'm remembering correctly. May 11th is when the next transfer portal closing date is. So from now till then, coaches and players are going to be having discussions. So keep your ears peeled for that. And then I believe I heard correctly, it's June 12th, I think, is the deadline for if you're coming back to school, you got to let everybody know. So the camps are going on right around that time. The draft is June 22nd. June 12th is your deadline for if you still have eligibility, and you're going to come back to college, you got to let folks know. So we'll keep our eyes on those stories, but obviously big focus around here about the spring game. Longhorn fans, we've been counting it down for you, and we're just down to one now. One day until that spring game. When it happens tomorrow, you'll only be 140 days away from the first game of the 2023 campaign. Texas, obviously a lot of excitement around this team this year, Zay. It's year 3. And by the time we get done with this season, this needs to feel like it's headed towards where Longhorn fans want it to go. I don't know that it has to be championship level this year, but it needs to compete for a championship this year. Is that fair?
Yeah, you need to compete for a Big 12 championship. As far as national championships go, obviously that's the goal, but Big 12 first and then see where you are. And hopefully winning the Big 12 championship puts you in position to maybe win a national championship or get in the playoff.
Yeah, my mark for this team is still going to be 9 games. I'm not going to talk about Jerry World. I'm not going to talk about that game. It's just a 9-win thing because they haven't been doing it consistently. I think that's a great place for them to start. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Really looking forward to seeing Quinn Ewers. Just that development of one more year. It's easy to talk about with him, but I think it's relevant every time. The lack of football that he's had over these last few years, the wild trip that he took of getting out of his senior year of high school and not playing. So strange. And then you go to Ohio State, and he just did not play that much at all, and he's just been trying to, in a way, knock some rust off. And we've seen a little bit of that, but we've also seen, Zay, 49-0. That's the game I keep going back to because he shredded Oklahoma that day, and he looked like a badass. He had some lessons to learn after that, but that's the thing. I think that's what he and Sark are trying to get back to.
Yeah, and that game was an absolute gift and the curse. The gift, you just blasted your arch rival by 41 points and skunked them when you've been struggling with them for a while in the course of the previous years. And then the curse, everybody, even Steve Sarkisian, got way too much confidence in him and didn't realize, like what you just said, this is still a very rookie-like freshman quarterback that needs reps and is still going to put film out there for these defensive coordinators to scout so they could be prepared each weekend to stop him. And we saw that a lot this past season, 2022. So, yeah, I'm with you on his development, his footwork. You're hearing all the right things about him. You see the fresh fade. You see the maturity there. You hear about his body and how he's toned it up. He ain't looking like Luka out there and stuff. You need all that. You need all that.
Why has my man Luka become the new round example in sports?
Because he's a superstar and the Mavs should be playing tomorrow or Sunday. Yeah, that's why.
They should be.
No matter what you're talking about with Kyrie, I know I digress, but this is where we're at.
Yeah,
it's just, you compare Luka, shed a couple LBs, Luka, and I won't have to say that. But Quinn Ewers, you're hearing all the right things from his peers, from his teammates, and June Chad, you talking about 9 wins. I'm talking about Big 12 championship, 10. This is where you are, year 3. The roster is stacked. You got the depth that you need. We know that running back spot, a little bit of question marks there, but you're hearing great things about Savion Red.
I'm interested to see him.
Oh, man. Yo, they say he run angry. I was listening to Byron Murphy talk about him yesterday, say, oh, boy runs angry. And you know he is angry. You remember what happened to Oklahoma State when he went to the sideline and went off on somebody?
Oh,
and he had no right to go off on anybody with the lack of production that he's put to the table during the course of that season up until then. He was going off on folks like he was Randy Moss.
He did get into his feelings.
Yeah, it's like, yo, bruh, we don't need that, especially in this game where Quinn Ewers has 30 incompletions, or maybe he just saw that's what it was leading up to. But that type of passion, that type of intensity, you need that. You need certain guys like that. And him being that Swiss Army knife, that Deebo Samuel guy. Hell, Longhorn fans, y'all remember Ramonce Taylor? Be that type of player.
Okay.
Yeah, Ramonce Taylor could do a little bit of everything coming out of Belton. Now, he liked a little of that tree. He smoked a little bit of that green, which, it's 2023. Hopefully, Savion Red don't get into any of that. But still, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Yes, it starts with Quinn Ewers, but there's so many things to look at with this team. I think this team is stacked. Like I said, the depth is there. And it's really just about those weaker spots. We still don't know much about the edge rushing. I was listening to Baron Sorrell talk about Colton Vasek being on that other side. So I'm looking for the Westlake alum to maybe be on that other side in this sophomore year. What can he do? Because we know they got pressure on the quarterback last year. They just didn't get him down enough. So we need more of that this season. Obviously, the linebacker position, who's going to be right by Jalen Ford. Dave Benda, Morris Blackwell, the freshman, Anthony Hill, LaFau. We still don't know yet. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing those guys. And also, Chad, listening to Kelvin Banks and Baron Sorrell and Byron Murphy talk yesterday. One guy they all brought up, well, I think it was just Byron Murphy and, Kelvin Banks. Okay. But they brought up Cam Williams. And how good he's looked. Both of those guys brought him up when they were asked, who's impressed you on that side? And Kelvin Banks said, Cam Williams looks good. And then Byron Murphy was like going up against him, that's a mean son of a bee. That's a dog. That's an angry dude. And he be chirping and stuff. So it goes back to the depth of this team because you got all 5 starters coming back. And Cam Williams wasn't that. And now maybe he could work his way into the starting lineup. We'll see. But, the season for a lot of people, not us, because we're always covering the Horns football team. But for a lot of people, it starts tomorrow. And I think they're going to see a lot of good things.
Yeah, it's really difficult to me to be scary in a golf shirt unless you're holding a driver in your hand and we know you can hit it like 350. Cameron Williams' picture online, if y'all haven't checked this out, go to texassports.com and go look up the roster. He is listed at 6'5", 360. When we had Chip Brown on earlier in the week from horns247.com, he said he's down from like 370-something.
That's right.
That's a trim down 360. Just go look at that picture. Look at the size of that human, this large human thing that Sark likes to talk about. That is big. And that's great to hear going into the game, Zay. Now, let's see if we get it validated in the game. I heard Jeff Howe talk about it today on Light the Tower, and he had a great point about, are you going to get validation or do you get how much validation do you get, confirmation on some things, and then how much revelation do you get during these games? Sometimes we end up hoping and wishing and thinking, oh, wow, that guy's going to be – and then it never happens again after a spring game. And then sometimes, hopefully you hear a story like that coming from the players. That's literally from inside those individual battles. And if it's correct and if Banks is right, and that's both sides of the ball, I'd like hearing that if I was a fan. We'll see what Cam Williams looks like. That's big 56 tomorrow. Cameron Williams, if you're watching.
Yeah, and, Kelvin Banks, just looking at him, talk about a mature fellow and a guy who just knows he's good. They asked him about Will Anderson, and he acted like Will Anderson was just another dude. Like, he was just like, yeah, the Bama game really tested me, and Will Anderson, he's a great player and stuff, but, as long as I do my technique and what Coach Banks says, threw the game on me and taught me and stuff, I'll be good. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I don't think we talk about him enough because we just expect him being that 5-star coming in and him, being projected a first-round pick in a couple of years. You don't have to talk about that guy, but from a leadership standpoint, even though he says that he's not a leader or says he's not like a veteran yet,
right.
He never said he wasn't a leader. He said he's not a veteran yet. He acts like and carries himself like a veteran. And him being one of the main guys, one of the best players on the squad, even though he's not a flash player, you need guys like that at every single position.
Yeah, he's a huge part of this team. The stories last year as a freshman, the stories that came through other big-time players were so impressive from him. That story from Bijan in the weight room and some of the other stuff about just how mature he was as a freshman. So that's big 78 tomorrow if you're watching the spring game. Kelvin Banks, big 78 out on that left side. The Longhorns need to be able to, whoever it's going to be, they need to be able to run left. And you, as a fan, you need to be able to forget about Kelvin Banks because he's so damn good.
Exactly.
Just get lost in the rest of it because Kelvin Banks is doing his job. 78, and then how does that left side of the line look? You obviously have Majors right there in the middle, but how do they fortify things on the left side? And Kelvin Banks is a big part of that.
He didn't disrespect Will Anderson. Like, he didn't, but there was a confidence there, like, it don't matter who y'all put in front of me.
Right.
It could be a guy that could change a franchise for the next 10 years like Will Henderson's projected to be. It could be a JV player. I'm going to dominate. And the confidence that gives the coaching staff and Quinn Ewers and the roster, like, I'm going to be protected, especially on my blind side. That's huge. That is huge for the success that the Horns want to have this season.
By the way, I didn't mention the jersey number earlier, but if you're looking for, I'm glad you mentioned Savion Red too.
17?
17 on the jersey number for Savion. Interesting for a running back there, going with 17. Obviously, a little bit more of a receiver number than a running back number.
Compare him to Ramon Taylor. Come on, Mac. Let him smoke a little tree. It's cool. It's all right. You see now, ain't no harm in that, but 06 is a different time.
That was a long time ago.
It's 06. It's a different time. But y'all remember how cold Ramon Taylor was.
He
did a little bit of everything. And he could hoop.
Yeah.
And he could hoop back at Belton. I remember going watching him in tournaments like Round Rock tournament, playing basketball, dunking on folks and stuff. What an athlete.
Incredible all-around athlete. There's no doubt about it. Occasionally, my wife and I will go hit the Texas Roadhouse up there in Pflugerville off of I-35. There is still a painting of Ramon Taylor shedding a tackle of a USC player in the title game at that restaurant today.
Wow.
They still have a little tribute to Ramont's up there in Pflugerville.
I think we forget about him because Jamal Charles took that next step. Mm-hmm. So we forgot, we don't necessarily need that guy, but shoot, you can never have too many players. Dudes like that, man.
A lot of good texts already rolling in. If you have something you want to throw in, what are you most excited about with the spring game? Who are you interested in seeing? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? All of that good stuff. Specs text line 337-3776.
When's A&M's spring day?
It is tomorrow.
How are we looking?
Tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
What's going down?
It's interesting to me. There's questions around that team on the, how does the quarterback progress? But then also, I'm looking at a list today of running backs in the draft. According to Mel Kiper earlier this week, the number 1 running back in the draft is a Longhorn, Bijan. The number 3 running back in the draft is Devon Achane.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd rank him that high, but Mel did. Mel knows more about it than I do. And then I start thinking about where are these teams going in their running games moving forward. So for me, as a follower, of that A&M team, it's that. Achane to me wasn't like a workhorse anyway. And now you've got to replace him. Who runs the ball? It's critical. It's really important for Sark to run the ball. It is critical that a Jimbo Fisher team run the ball. So who is it going to be? Is this a Reuben Owens situation? He'd be the C.J. Baxter.
Right.
Reuben Owens on the young side. Is it Le'Veon Moss? Is it Amari Daniels? There's a group of guys, but no one has really stood up to say it's their job. We'll see tomorrow. That's on ESPN Plus at 3 o'clock. Texas, obviously, on Longhorn Network at 1. So if you're home just watching these spring games, you can go one to the other if you want.
I saw one of the 2022 5-star freshmen, now I guess going to be a sophomore, got caught with the chronic.
Is that right?
Yep. $3,000 bail. Y'all just can't help yourselves, especially that class. What's up with that specific class, though?
It's a fired-up class. It really is. Now, I did notice on the roster, I think some of those guys that a lot of people thought may transfer didn't transfer.
Interesting.
Like, I think I still see Evan Stewart's name on the roster.
Huh.
I don't think he left.
Well, that's good, at least.
I don't think so. But then again, I saw Max Johnson's name on the roster, and I thought, wait, is Max moving on, or is Max still fighting for that?
Yeah.
Is he hanging around to fight with Wegman for the job? We'll find out some of the answers to those questions in terms of A&M, but obviously Texas has the spring game tomorrow as well. I do not know any other spring games off the well, no, I do know at least one, because in checking the schedule, Georgia's spring game is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a Big Ten one I saw, like Michigan State, I think, is going to be tomorrow. But it's that time of year, and if you go to all those different networks, Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, starting next week, they start rerunning everything. So if you want to peek in on a particular school, you will get a chance to do that. So we'll talk a lot of Texas spring game today. Let us know what you're looking forward to. We will also talk a lot of NBA today. Tonight it's the 8 seed games, and then everything really cranks up tomorrow with all the rest of the 4 out of 7 series and the official playoffs getting started tomorrow. So we're going to get into all of that. Also coming up in the crap bag, I'll tell you about the NBA team you'll want to root for if you love chaos. Stay with us. It is Friday. Lot to do on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started on this Friday. Oh, I dig it. Little James Bond Duran Duran. A View to a Kill. Come on. Mid-'80s, probably mid to late 80s, something like that for A View to a Kill. Roger Moore era, James Bond. It's a good starter. I like that. Duran Duran, monsters in the 80s.
This is different than normal Bond.
Yeah, a little bit. This is maybe a little poppier than you would have had, but a little more industrial, a little more of that, a little more of a club song.
Yeah.
Versus just a straight up like pop song, because they've gone to people like Adele and just flat out big bold singers. This was a little bit different. But if you saw A View to a Kill, it was a little different feel too. It had that like 80s kind of vibe to it with Roger Moore. All right, Duran Duran gets us started today. We got a lot of stuff going on, obviously, with the spring game. Texas getting ready for the spring game tomorrow. We briefly mentioned the Aggie spring game as well. Zay asked me about the Aggies so he could tell me that an A&M player got caught with pot. That was his goal there. He did not care about football at all. You just wanted to tell me a player got caught.
No, I did care about football. I want to know. People want to know.
I don't know.
What's going to go on with the Aggies this year. Y'all got a new offensive coordinator that likes to be on bikes and, likes other wild stuff off the field. So I just want to know who calling the plays. What's going on? Is it going to be 5-7? What we got reckon?
They were 5-7.
I would say that's right. Yeah.
Because they beat LSU, they were 5-7.
Okay, yeah. Just seeing if there's improvement from last season.
Right. Yeah. Aggie fans would tell you there better be improvement from last season. And as much as people will joke about that OC hire, and I totally get where the jokes come from, the question is, can he make that offense more varied? Can he make that offense feel more modern? I think that's what a lot of Aggie fans are trying to figure out. Say what you will about Petrino, and there's stuff to say, but his football, air quote, crimes are fairly pedestrian when you compare them to the defensive coordinator's football, air quotes, crimes. He's not connected with the stuff Durkin's connected with, but in football terms, this is the guy that dialed up some pretty badass offenses in his time, and he made quarterbacks look good in his time. Can he do the same thing with A&M on offense? That'll be interesting to watch tomorrow afternoon as well. And back to Texas, when we're talking about Sark and his offense, the new wide receivers coach obviously would be a big change and things to look for. But overall, this is essentially the same crew coming back with the Texas offense in terms of obviously this is Sark's offense still and how he wants to call the plays. And it's about the development of specifically Quinn Ewers and that receiving core, and then can you find a running back?
Yeah, and that's why there's so much promise. That's why it's so hard not to drink the Kool-Aid. That's why some of y'all got to stick with that Tang. I'm trying to give y'all game. Yeah. Just sip the Tang because it's so easily to go full-fledged into the Kool-Aid pool, and you don't need to be doing that because we've been burned way too many times. But that player, Chad, that got arrested for A&M, sophomore safety, Jacoby Matthews.
Jacoby, come on now.
By the campus police. Were you smoking on the dorm, Jacoby?
Smoking on campus.
Put the towel under the door.
Man. It's a freshman mistake?
Freshman mistake. Okay. $3,000 bail. They got him out. NIL's good up there. We know that.
The freshman mistake. All right.
Well.
Speaking of mistakes, before we get into the 8 seed games tonight in the NBA, let's talk about a team that couldn't be bothered to try to be an 8 seed or even try to get into a play-in situation, the Dallas Mavericks. Zay, I heard people kind of joking on the Mavericks after they pulled all those guys for the Friday night home finale. And I can't remember who they were playing. Oh, Chicago. That they pulled everybody for that game. I remember hearing people say, oh, come on, what's the league going to do? And I thought they should find the hell out of them and maybe take the draft pick away, but they probably can't do that part. But they find them. We found it out today. It is a $750,000 fine for resting players in a key game.
Yeah, I thought it might have been heftier than that, maybe in the mills, but I guess Adam Silver was lenient. And yeah, it just goes back to the pettiness that Mark Cuban and the whole Mavs organization had after they felt like they got hosed in that Warriors game where Cuban said this was the biggest hose job he's ever seen in his time in the NBA. And ever since that game, I think they just tanked it in. They realized we don't have much of a chance. If we do get in, then we'll be probably playing the Grizzlies or Joker, and that's probably an easy out. So might as well look for this draft pick. And yeah, it bit them. You can't do that.
Yeah, it turned into the discussion about that draft pick that's associated with the Porzingis deal, the draft pick that it's a protected pick that they would owe the Knicks, and not to get into all those details, but $750,000 here. They were fined $600,000 the last time Mark Cuban admitted openly that they were tanking. It was called conduct detrimental to the league, and they also said the Mavericks' decision to restrict key players from fully participating in an elimination game last Friday undermined the integrity of our sport. The Mavericks' actions failed our fans and our league.
Yeah. I mean, you got 2 All-Stars on your team this year. That means you got to try to win. That means you have a chance, even though to the NBA, you have a chance. Not many people can say they have 2 All-Stars, 2 guys that could average over 20 points a game, Luka with 30, and plus for the TV rights and TV markets and ratings and stuff. You want those ratings when Luka and Kyrie are in the game or both playing at the same time. Everybody wants to see what happens, and you tank the bed? Nah, not a good look, Mark Cuban.
And I don't know if any adjustments can be made to, I don't know if any adjustments could be made to the system and how it works. But the
play-in. That was the adjustment.
That was their
play-in.
Yeah, and but in terms of that draft pick thing, right? In terms of that draft pick that's laying out there to where if you do the math and say, well, if the Mavs had tried to play it out, they would have had a 15% chance of getting what they wanted with that pick, and now that they did what they did, they have like an 80% chance. And it's like, okay, well, that's not good. That part of it needs to be figured out and maybe tweaked a little bit. But, yeah, the fact that they couldn't even be bothered to try to get into the playoffs, that was just sad. And me as a fan, this is my NBA team. I know they're not winning a title this year, but you need to try to win the game. That's kind of what I want out of it. That's what I generally want out of my team. And now you're bringing in a talent like Kyrie, and then you just kind of get to the end and give up.
Well, it's interesting because what the Mavericks need most is the biggest NBA prospect since LeBron James, and that's a center. And Wembanyama, 7'5", again, greatest prospect since LeBron James, what he could bring to a team. If he went to the Mavs now, Mavs be top 4 team in the West, just like that. Right. So if Wembanyama wasn't that number 1 prospect in this year's 2023 draft, would the Mavs been fined that much? Maybe not, but he is, and I think the NBA is looking at that also.
Yeah, no, you're right. Wembanyama's affected a lot of people's thought process.
Oh, it's nuts.
And that's probably what Mark Cuban is thinking today, too. And all I would say to the Mavs is don't talk to me about everybody's doing it or there are other teams doing it. Just get better at it. This is the second time. You're up to $1.3 million now that you've been fined because you don't know how to do it without saying you're doing it. I mean, it's just the most obvious thing in the world. You couldn't have started those guys and had them all play like 12 to 25 minutes just like you did with Luka. No, I couldn't be clever about it. You did it, pulled them all out, and then had Jason Kidd trying to explain it afterwards. I don't know if it's really a business thing or if it's a deal. I understand. I don't think it's the white flag. I really think it's like, oh, my God.
Well, you were just in the Western Conference Finals last year. You could have signed Jalen Brunson. It would have been a whole lot of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you weren't trying to give him what New York gave him. And yes, his dad works for the Knicks and stuff. And Mark Cuban's tried to use that as a big reason why he went to New York. No, pay the guy. Pay him. If you think he's worth that, you didn't think he was worth that. I don't think he was either, but the Knicks are still playing in the playoffs, got a really good matchup against the Cavs, which I think that's going to be one of the best series of the first round. And your team's at home when they were in the playoff hunt majority of the season. Then the last 2 months, y'all tanked the bed.
Man, that is wild. All right, so speaking of the teams trying to get in the playoffs, the ones that actually do want to win, how about these 8-seed games tonight? Chicago, Miami, doing it on South Beach at 6 o'clock tonight. That is TNT. Which way do you think this goes? Miami suffers the loss. Chicago got the surprise win. Who do you think takes it tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about travel going from Canada all the way to South Beach. That's a long way. And, one team is coming off of a bad loss where they really got exploited down low in the paint by Clint Capella and Okunwu off the bench, especially shot blocking and stuff like that. Bam Adebayo, he was bad. And he has to be better against Vujovic for Chicago, which that's a good matchup for the Heat. Bam Adebayo, a lot quicker, a lot more athletic, could step out and hit that jumper. If he's locked in, then Miami Heat, they should take care of business because those guards, I think for Miami, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, they could go up against DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. They match up well. Strus and Vincent, those guys can knock down shots. Kyle Lowry was a huge surprise in that game against Atlanta. He was one of the only ones that really stepped up with 33 points. And people have been talking about him being the Achilles heel for the Heat. Like a reason why the Heat are in this situation in the first place is because that how much money Pat Riley gave him and his role on the team was supposed to be, that next point guard that puts him over the top. That's not the case. Now you kind of hear Damian Lillard's name being swirled around. So if Miami loses this game, summer's going to be really interesting. Portland, Damian Lillard's talking about being a little disgruntled. He says he loves Portland, but he's tired of the same old thing. He ain't trying to rebuild. So we know Miami, they're known for making moves. Everybody loves South Beach, even if you say you don't. Somebody like Damian Lillard that might be a little more quiet, I'm sure his family would love South Beach too. So that's something to look at tonight. But yeah, if Bam Adebayo steps up and does what he's supposed to do as an all-star center, they should be able to get the win.
Bulls Heat, 6 o'clock on TNT. The winner ends up as the 8th seed, and they will take on Milwaukee.
Now, United Airlines, they said that they going to fly out DeMar DeRozan for free. So she might be there tonight. I haven't heard nothing.
Wait, why would the building offer that?
What do you mean the building? That's United Airlines. Give her a flight.
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that. Sorry, I thought you were saying American because it's the American Airlines Arena.
Well, it used to be, not anymore.
Oh, but it's not. That's not Miami anymore. Okay.
No.
All right. Oh, you're right. They did change the name. Okay.
But Chicago is the United Center.
So United is offering to get her to the game.
Yep.
Because DeRozan has already said no, she's got to go to school. And according to him, she wasn't going to be there tonight. That's something else to look for.
That's something else.
If they find the daughter in the crowd early on, listen for those screams when Miami goes to the free throw line.
If you're in the part of Heat organization, she could be there. She can't be behind the goal. Again, I'm all for NBA players. You better make your free throws no matter what. If somebody's standing right next to you, as long as they don't touch you, I expect you to knock it down. But we need this win to get to the playoffs. We're not trying to risk nothing. She can't be behind the goal, man.
No.
That's too close to the court.
No, here's what Spoelstra needs to do. Spoelstra, in practice, should have had a tape running of the loudest, shrillest screams from every horror movie through the years. That's what he needed to have to make sure they cover it. Where he says, I don't care what they bring. I don't care how many. They could bring 10 screaming kids. We're going to hit 90% tonight.
That'd be a smart move.
That's what I would.
That'd be a good coaching tactic.
That's what I would have done if I was Spoelstra. All right, so Bulls Heat will get it started tonight. We'll also get Zay's thoughts on Thunder and Timberwolves coming up. The winner of that will end up with Denver this weekend, and we'll continue to break it down at 105 because in the NBA, there's always two parts to it. There's the game and there's the story. Zay was giving you a little bit of that with the Dame Lillard ingredient there. There's ingredients to all these different games and the side stories. We'll get into all of that coming up at 1 o'clock. Up next in the crap bag, I will tell you about the team you need to root for in the NBA if you want the house to lose. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, we are rolling through a Friday. God, it's a great riff. This song gets going and gets going quick. Green Day and American Idiot.
That's right.
It's a solid record.
It's a good record.
That's a good album. You've heard that one?
No.
That's one you'd enjoy. I think you'd like that.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into Green Day a little bit.
Yeah.
A little upbeat, kind of that pop punk, if you will.
Yeah, this was a hit when it came out.
Boy, they were really, they really got things focused in on this album. There's some good stuff on that record. Green Day and Duran Duran getting us started today. We hope you are having a great Friday. Yesterday, we had the Lil' Kim and Jelly Roll discussion. Had somebody texting us last night suggesting, hey, if you like Jelly Roll, try this. There's some other, giving us some other, what they call it? Country rap ideas.
Yeah.
Interesting mix there. Next week on the music discussion, we are going to hit the L button, if you will. We're going Lil Wayne and Living Color next week. Gonna go. That just happened by happenstance. By the way, I've already listened to a couple tracks off the Lil Wayne album.
Okay,
not bad.
It's just the color.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Go DJ.
Oh, that's a hit.
That's my DJ.
That's a hit. Hey, Chad, we're talking about DeMar DeRozan's daughter,
Yeah.
mucking stuff up for the Raptors. And somebody on Specs text line brought up a great one. You remember the Pelicans? It might have been the Hornets back then, but the Hornets Spurs series. And somebody had like a cutoff cardboard of Eva Longoria wearing the Hornets headband.
Oh, I do not remember
that. What a great time.
So they did like distractions for free throws?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
don't remember that.
Yeah, and there's a picture of Tony Parker at the free throw line and somebody putting that up. But
that's a good idea.
I don't think that phased TP.
No.
Rings.
Nah, I think they are just fine.
They face him one bit.
Mr. Parker. Yeah, he would
Hall
have
of Fame this year.
He would have 4 of those 5, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't have the one with David and Tim, but he's got all the rest.
That was Avery.
Yeah, that's right.
That was Avery.
Avery Johnson.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Timmy, come on, man. David, let's go, baby. Let's go.
That's good stuff. Beat the Knicks that year, right? For the 99 title.
I'll never forget Avery hit that. Short corner jumper.
Shot.
That was
oh,
a huge
yeah. That
shot.
was massive stuff. We'll talk more NBA coming up at 1:05. Actually, a little bit of it in the crap bag here as well. Check this out on the betting side in Vegas. Crap bag time.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
It's brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. According to the folks in Vegas, there are 2 NBA teams you need to be rooting for to win the title because it will not wreck. Come on, nobody's wrecking Vegas. But the house will lose a little more than they would otherwise if 2 teams make a run. The first one will make sense to you. It's the Lakers. The Lakers were 12-1 at the start of the season to win it all. But in November, they dropped down to 125-1. The LeBron injury and stuff like that. So people were able to get those kind of odds, plus everybody loves to bet the Lakers. So Caesars right now and other books are a little concerned about if the Lakers get on a run. But Zay, the other team to pay attention to is Sacramento, because back in July, somebody walked into the Tropicana in Vegas. They still don't know who this is. Anonymous bettor. Somebody walked into the Trop, put $10,000 on Sacramento to win it all at 750-1. Then they put $8,000 down on Sacramento to win it all at 350-1. So put all that math together, and if it hits and Sacramento wins the title, not just gets there, wins it all, $10.3 million will be paid off from those bets. So the Tropicana is sweating a little bit about the Sacramento Kings. So they are rooting for the Warriors in this first series to just end all that drama.
Yeah, and according to Draymond Green, he's already looking forward to the Lakers-Grizzlies matchup. Because he was basically talking about it in the podcast. He was breaking that playoff round down, and he was like, yeah, I know this is probably bulletin board material for our next round when we see them. So they're not even thinking about Sacramento.
Wow.
And they're the lower seed.
Right. They're the sixth.
That's just that championship confidence that they have, that they know everybody's back at the right time. We don't know what Andrew Wiggins is going to be. He, if he comes back as that second best player in the NBA Finals, Andrew Wiggins, then yeah, this could be a 5-game quick 5 games. But if he comes back a little bit rusty, then Sacramento, they can make it fun. And they got a lot of guys that are hungry and young. De'Aaron Fox, he has to be huge. I don't know if he'll be matched up with Steph Curry much, but he'll be matched up with him a little bit. And that's the thing that I don't think teams realize playing against the Warriors and playing against Steph. Because I was just looking at a J.R. Smith podcast, which we'll talk about J.R. Smith a little bit later, and he was talking about 2015, Matthew Dellavedova, when the Warriors won their first one, how he almost died chasing Steph Curry around. And Steph's stamina is different from everybody's. You better be in shape because, game 1 and 2, you might feel like you're doing a good job, but when game 5 and 6 come around and he's still running off screens and he won't stop moving, and you're like, damn, he's still doing this? That's what kills teams. Because those guys don't get tired for the Warriors. So I don't see a matchup for Steph. You can't put Malik Monk on them. Kevin Huerter, man, it'll be a sweep if they put Kevin Huerter on Steph. It's not the best matchup. Domantas Sabonis, he's really got to work out him and Draymond. Obviously, Draymond thinks he's going to get the better of him in that matchup, being the former defensive player of the year and the cockiness and confidence that Draymond has. But Sabonis, he's a 3-time All-Star. He could go, and he's unique. He's a lefty, so he'll get you off guard with his left hand doing different things that sometimes a righty would do. Yeah, it could be a fun series, but they're going to have to find someone that could stop Steph Curry.
That series will get started tomorrow night. We'll break down of exactly where all those series will be coming up at 1:05 and continue to get Zay's thoughts not only on the games, but these stories that are out there. I mean, just the storylines are incredible in every series. Vegas odds, Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix, and Golden State, your top 4 right now. And just to piggyback on what we're just talking about, Zay, the back end of the playoffs in the West is so fascinating to me. You just talked about the 6-seed Golden State with all of their clout. Obviously, we know the 7 seed is the Lakers. Kevin Durant is on the 4 seed. Kawhi Leonard is on the 5 seed. And the top 3 are Denver, Memphis, and Sacramento, teams that don't have a ton of experience in championship runs.
Right.
They got some stars, obviously, but not stars that are used to getting used to the rings. All these other guys that I just mentioned, they have rings, and they're sitting at 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Exactly, and that's why a lot of teams are picking the upsets. I'm intrigued to see what happens tonight with the Timberwolves and the Thunder. I think if the Thunder move on and win the game, which they could, I think it will be an easier matchup for the Nuggets. But if the Timberwolves win and Joker has to deal with Rudy Gobert, and you have to beat them 4 times, I'll still pick the Nuggets to win. But moving out of that, moving forward, that might take a lot out of Nikola Jokic.
So more of a battle.
Yeah, because Rudy Gobert is a really good defender. And plus you got to deal with Karl Anthony Towns. So Nikola Jokic, he's going to have to play D. And they won't be able to hide him much. And sometimes when Rudy Gobert goes out, that means Cat's the 5. So even though that will probably be a 5-game series going the Nuggets' way, if the Timberwolves advance tonight, I think that could take a lot out of a 2-time MVP guy if they want to make a long run in this playoffs.
Tonight is interesting to me because these teams are in a play-in situation because by definition they're inconsistent. That's why they're here. And it's weird. These last couple nights, we've actually seen good close games. Sometimes in the play-in in the first couple years, you'd see blowouts. It almost feel like literally a play-in game at the NCAA tournament where you go, oh, they weren't supposed to be. Okay, fair enough, and this team moves on. But I want to know, is LaVine going to be able to continue what he did the other night? Or was it one night? Gilgeous-Alexander, is that going to show up again? And then our Australian League guy,
Josh Giddey.
Does he show up like that again with 31? Or was that just one night? And you got Miami and Minnesota trying to prove as the host team, okay, yeah, we got beat, but we're better than you, and we're going to show you. So these are 2 10 seeds trying to show that they can be the 8 seed in the NBA tonight. Should be good. TNT has the East game at 6, 8:30 ESPN is Oklahoma City and Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, should be good. And Rudy Gobert's good, right? He gets to play tonight.
Yeah, he's good.
He does get to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, look at that, too. It's hard to play with a guy and say, we're going to war when you know he could stab you in the back. Literally. Just bam, punched him in his face. Just like that in front of everybody. Getting fined.
He did not hit his face.
Whatever. He brushed it. He like brushed the beard a little something,
You know I'm a fight fan. That is not a great punch to break down. I still call it a shove. I thought it was a full arm shove. I didn't think that was a punch.
It was light.
Oh my god.
It was light, but he reacted though. He reacted like he got socked.
The story we heard was that he reacted to the B word, not the push, not the shove or the punch or whatever.
No, Gobert reacted to the B word.
Gobert reacted to the B word. You're right.
Kyle Anderson, if it was a push, some guys push back. He reacted like, oh, you swung at me. We got some serious problems. I'm from Jersey. I might be light-skinned. I'm from Jersey. You better know about me, dog. You from France.
Did you just start that with, I might be light-skinned?
You know how I feel about these light-skinned brothers, man. Devin Booker, he really represented for the light-skinned brothers on being tough. Reggie Miller, he did it. John Starks, he was one of those guys. People think, y'all, man, that's light-skinned brother. Oh, he's soft. He weak. Steph Curry, oh, he's soft. He weak. Nah. You better not check them light-skinned brothers.
Boy, Golden State tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. That is the nightcap. We'll get into that series coming up. There's plenty of storylines to go around in the NBA. We'll get Zay's thoughts on that. We'll continue to get your thoughts on the spring game as well. We are 1 day away. What do you want to see with the spring game? Remember, it is a 1 o'clock kick time or thereabouts for the spring game. We'll get you the 11 o'clock pregame from Bevo Boulevard. They crank everything open in the morning like 8 o'clock. They got all the different stuff for you, the food, the LCL concert afterwards with Briscoe playing, in case you don't know, 9 a.m. for the autograph session, and we will have a post-game call-in show for all that discussion about what Arch Manning looks like, what Quinn Ewers looked like, Malik Murphy, we did a running back step up, all that kind of good stuff.
So who's Briscoe? Am I off? Am I off the loop?
Briscoe's like I'd call him like alt country.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Country ensemble, country group.
All right, because I knew a Briscoe in hip hop. And he got locked up. So I'm like, I don't doubt if CDC inviting him.
I think it may be a little different.
Okay.
E at the end of this Briscoe. I don't know if there was an E at the end of the other Briscoe you're talking about. This is maybe a different Briscoe.
All right. Noted.
All right. Coming up, your 1 o'clock hour. We'll start with some NBA. Also, at 1:30, we'll continue to break down the spring game in terms of the flex guys. Let's talk about some of the local talent that'll be in the game. We'll go over jersey numbers for you to look for as well. Stay with us. It's The Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Friday. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you're ready for that spring game tomorrow. Whether you're a Longhorn fan or any other group of fans we've talked about, there's multiple spring games going on tomorrow. Obviously, folks around the Austin area that are Longhorn folks, they are looking for that one, and it's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Remember, 11 a.m. on the pregame from Bevo Boulevard, 1 o'clock on the kick time. And, yeah, we'll have some call-ins afterwards. Our man Cameron Parker and Ty Henderson, they will be taking your calls and giving you their thoughts. Also, you'll hear from Sark right after the game, get his immediate reaction as well. And you'll get the crew calling the game that will call it for you all season long. Craig and Roger and Will be calling the game for you. It is Chad and Zay on this Friday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. And a lot of stuff going on football-wise. We're going to be talking NBA in this segment, breaking down some of those series that'll start tomorrow. Also, a quick reminder that Ball Don't Lie is on the road today. Rod and Harge out at Ron Hoover RV and Marine Center in Georgetown. They're there until 6:15 tonight. Got Texas and Baylor in baseball at 6:30 up in Waco. They're going to kick off the first ever spring extravaganza. It is Friday through Sunday. You're going to be able to find the best deals ever on over 200 RVs, boats, and mowers in stock. Visit the events calendar at hornfm.com for more details there. All right, so a lot of spring game talk today. People have been texting in all throughout the week of what they want to see in the spring game, who they're looking forward to seeing. If you want to continue to throw those texts at us, 337-3776 is that number. And while the show has been going on, the Mavericks got fined $750,000 for their apathy at the end of the year.
Got them.
Well, apathy for the basketball competitiveness, not apathy for draft picks. They just didn't do it cleverly enough. So they have been fined too. All right, Zay. So we were talking about the 8-seed games that are coming up tonight. Chicago, Miami. Winner's going to get Milwaukee. By the way, that'll be Sunday. Both those series will happen. The Milwaukee series starts on Sunday afternoon, and then the Denver series will start late Sunday night. The Oklahoma City, Minnesota winner will get Denver. We were actually just talking about Golden State and Sacramento. For people that are interested there, that is a late start, not super late, but 7:30 tomorrow, the nightcap, ABC. So big network broadcast, Golden State at Sacramento. Obviously, we were talking about kind of one of the side stories of that game, which is the championship medal, obviously, of Golden State. These are the defending champs, after all. But also, Zay, this whole road thing is interesting to me to start this series. If they go in there and win game 1 and just completely get rid of that narrative, then Sacramento is in a world of trouble. They really need to win that game tomorrow to kind of keep that discussion going about what is wrong with Golden State away from home.
Yeah, and it's been so long since the Kings have been in the playoffs, since the Mike Bibby days, and that could be a lot of pressure. I mean, Sacramento, they have such a good fan base. They're the only team there, so they love their Kings, and it's going to be packed. We know they got the beam there. It's going to be jumping. It's not going to be like Arco Arena once was, but, Golden Chick Arena, they do their thing. And, yeah, man, just that championship pedigree. Like, Klay Thompson is back. And he might have lost a step, and, before the injuries came. He's not that Klay Thompson, but as far as the shooting goes, he's right there. He's not that lockdown defender that they put on the best guard on the opposing team majority of the time. Yes, he will get his looks at De'Aaron Fox at times, but they got Gary Payton II to do things like that. Dante DiVincenzo, both of their guys are going to get runs at De'Aaron Fox. So the other side is, who you going to throw on Steph? Who you going to throw on Klay? I love Davion Mitchell, but you don't want to play him too much because you got Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, who might get Sixth Man of the Year if Emmanuel Quickley and, Malcolm Brogdon don't get it. So, yeah, I just think that championship pedigree might be too much, but if Domantas Sabonis, if he could get the best of Draymond and Mike Brown does a good job of getting the ball inside, then they have a better chance than what a lot of people are giving them. A lot of people are giving them no chance, and I get that. But if they want to make this a fun, deep, long series, then Domantas Sabonis has to be the man for the Kings, and he has to dominate Draymond Green.
We'll see what happens there. Again, that starts in Sacramento, obviously, since they are the 3 seed, and Golden State has been wretched on the road this year. Just awful, like historically bad on the road.
Yeah, and they haven't been healthy all at the same time, with Steph being in and out the lineup, the whole Andrew Wiggins thing, him just being away from the team, all of those had a lot to do with it. But, man, I think their bench guys like Jordan Poole, no one could stop him. He's unstoppable because there's so much attention on Clay and Steph.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's doing all that crazy playground stuff and, in and out crossovers and crazy floaters and quick layups, and he could also shoot the three, what are the Kings going to have for that? Like him and Malik Monk, that's their six man for Sacramento. He's going to have to do what he's done all year, and he could be streaky at times, but all these guys are so inexperienced. This is their first real go,
right? And
your first real go is against a 4-time champs in the Golden State Warriors. I got Golden State in 6.
Yeah, it's just going to be, again, fascinating in the West, where the experience seems to be the experience is at the lower seeds, and the higher seeded teams have less experience. That's the nightcap tomorrow. Let's back it up to noon. The first series out of the block is Brooklyn at Philly in the East. Zay, bottom line here, is this a series that if Philadelphia can't win it, Doc Rivers is done?
He should be.
Okay.
He should be. Yeah, he's out here throwing his old Clippers teams under the bus. Did you see that?
No, but
That's
I've heard
so Bush League.
No, but it's not the first time
That's
he's done
so Bush
something like
League.
that.
What he should be upset is Lawrence Fishburne trying to play him in the biopic. That's the only thing he should be upset with when it comes to the LA Clippers, because he's a big part of that problem too, that went down over there, back in the day. Like Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, all those guys, they were hurt a lot. So your coaching has to come into play, and you couldn't get them over the hump. Were they hurt? Yes, say that, but don't say, "Oh, those guys, they didn't like each other enough. I knew they weren't going to win." I think that's so BS. That's so Bush League. Like that's just weak. So I hope the Nets win just for that. I don't think they are, but yeah, just because Doc Rivers, he rubs me the wrong way. I can't believe he said that. But if we're just breaking it down from a basketball standpoint, they can't lose. And James Harden, he's been really good this year, averaging over 20 points, the league leader in assists. Like, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And it's kind of sad because he's a once-in-a-lifetime player. And I get it. The Kardashian thing, the strip club thing, the Lil Baby rapping and stuff like that. He's always hanging with rappers and stuff. I get it. The off-the-court stuff, it could be a little bothersome. But he's the only player in NBA history to lead the league in assists twice and lead the league in scoring 3 times. NBA history.
Yeah.
Once in a lifetime player. So say what you want about him. The guy's different, and he has to be big. We know Joel Embiid probably going to be MVP this year. They got nobody for him.
Yeah, those two can't lose. Those two and Doc can't lose to the team that one of them chose not to be on.
Right.
That and then the other parts got ripped away. And you're left with what? Dinwiddie,
you got Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mikal Bridges is their best player now. Mikal Bridges goes from the number 4th option on the championship level Phoenix Suns to the number 1 option in Brooklyn, which is amazing. It shows a lot about him and the type of guy he is and just kind of upping his game in the situation. But yeah, the Sixers, this should be a 5-game series at best, if not a sweep. Nets, they have no type of superstar power, but they got a lot of scrappy guys, and they're going to put Bridges on and Finley Smith all on James Harden to make life rough for him. But Tyrese Maxey, he's such a dog out of Duncanville. I mean, not Duncanville. I think he went to Garland. He went to South Garland, but still he's out of that Dallas area. Mm-hmm. He's good. We know Tobias Harris. He could go. PJ Tucker, that's a good addition. And, yeah, just too much Joel Embiid and James Harden. They should win in 5.
Yeah, Jacques Vaughn's Coach of the Year if they figure that out.
For real.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they need to go to Coach's house, Mike Brown's house, steal it, and then go bring it to Brooklyn and say, yo, he deserves it.
And then Jacques gets to call Doc Rivers and say, you're fired.
Yeah.
Let him do that.
For real.
Yeah, Brooklyn-Philly starts tomorrow at noon. Then you've got Atlanta and Boston. They'll start in Beantown at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. That starts on ESPN. Zay, is there any soap opera in this series? Because I'm not quite feeling I'm not feeling it, but you follow hoops a lot closer than I do. What's the story? What's the drama here, if there is?
Just the Celtics trying to get back to the finals.
Okay.
Last year left a bad taste in their mouth. Losing to the Golden State Warriors, Marcus Smart was not good against Stephen Curry. But like I said about Steph Curry, once you get into that game 5 and 6, and you're still chasing them around and he's still feeling 100%, you're at 75, that's what could happen. So Trae Young, even though he gets Steph Curry in comparisons, he has the ball in his hands a lot more. So he's not running around like that. And we know Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, both of those guys could be really effective, but they ain't no Jason Tatum. They ain't no Jaylen Brown. Malcolm Brogdon was such a huge pickup. I think he's going to get 6th man of the year. He's battling with Emmanuel Quickley and Malik Monk. So Celtics, they're primed to get there again. Derek White, he's a solid role player. Al Horford, it seems like his last go. We know your guy, Robert Williams out of A&M.
There we go.
He's kind of a difference maker. And then Grant Williams, he could step out and do multiple things offensively and defensively.
I like him a lot.
I like him too.
That X factor quality he'll bring you. All of a sudden, you're halfway through a game and you're realizing, man, this dude is tough to stop.
Yeah, he's a Rick Barnes type guy.
Yeah,
you can tell he came from Tennessee and learned the game the right way. Say what you want about Rick Barnes. Yes, his tournament record isn't the best as of late, but guys that he puts into the league, they're always really good role players.
Yeah.
They're never superstars. Yeah. But they're always really good role players, especially his Tennessee days. So, yeah, Grant Williams, I don't see much drama in it. But when you got somebody like Trae Young, when he starts shooting 40 feet and starts crossing guys over, he could be an issue.
Yeah, the drama in that series is just if Atlanta has a lead in the series.
Yeah.
Right, if they go up 2-1 or something, then the drama may start. All right, I know you said earlier you like this Knicks-Cleveland series. This is the 4-5 in the East. They start at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on ESPN. Knicks fans are pumped, but this one will start in Cleveland because they're the 4, and it's the Knicks that are the 5. What do you think of this series?
This is my favorite series. I can't wait. I think this is going 7.
Okay.
I can't even give you a winner. I'm maybe Cleveland just because it's at Cleveland for game 7,
right?
But I really don't know. And both teams are really good. The East was so good this year. I think all 5 teams could do something. I mean, Giannis and them, if Chris Middleton's playing the way he's supposed to be playing, then maybe no one can touch Milwaukee. But as far as the Knicks and the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, probably be first team All-NBA, multiple 40-point games, dropped 71 this year. And I thought him and Darius Garland, both of those guys together, I thought it would work, and it has. Evan Mobley, his matchup on Julius Randle is going to be huge. Both of those guys, are so skilled. And Mobley, people got him Defensive Player of the Year in the second season. And Jared Allen, Texas alum, he's a really good defender also.
Mm-hmm.
So Julius Randle, he's going to have to hoop. He's going to have to work. Now, the Garland and Jalen Brunson matchup, I think that equals each other out. So RJ Barrett has been so up and down this year. He's averaged 20, but he's just still trying to find his place sometimes being that number 3 guy with Brunson and Randle. If he could step up and multiple 20-point games, play great D on Donovan Mitchell. Knicks look good. Emmanuel Quickley is great coming off the bench. Thibodeau has a lot of faith in him. So, yeah, I have no idea where this series is going to go. They're going to need Karis LeVert on the Cavs side to hoop. It's going to be those guys that I'm not mentioning, those role player type guys, Josh Hart, those guys. Again, Evan Mobley on the offensive end. He's got to bring a little something. I can't wait for this series. It's going to be a flat out dogfight, maybe a classic.
Officially, the playoffs crank up tomorrow. So 4 series tomorrow. We already mentioned you got the Milwaukee series and the Denver series starting on Sunday. Also, Sunday is Clippers at Phoenix. That series will get going in the evening on Sunday. And for your Sunday post lunchtime, how about Lakers at Memphis, 2 o'clock on ABC? They're pretty smart when they schedule this thing because they end up with the Lakers and the Warriors on ABC. So if you go to sleep tomorrow night with that TV on ABC, you're good. Just wake up on Sunday and it'll just leave it right there because you're going to go, Steph's going to be on your TV when you turn it off, and then LeBron will be on it when you turn it back on.
Yeah, Grizzlies fans, I'd be a little nervous because this team healthy, the Los Angeles Lakers with their new squad with Vanderbilt and Austin Reeves playing the 2 and D'Angelo Russell, Schroeder off the bench, all those guys are capable, you know? And then LeBron James, if he's locked in, if he's healthy, yikes.
Well, and yeah, if he and Davis are healthy and effective, it's just different.
Yeah, and Dillon Brooks going to do something dirty. Before the series is over, Dillon Brooks is going to do something dirty that we're going to talk about next week. It's going to happen. That's who he is. It's the playoffs. His emotion, he won't be able to help himself. And he'll elbow Bron in the groin, or Bron will be cutting down the lane, and he'll pull Andrew Bynum on Jose Juan Barea, something like that.
Oh, good grief.
And yeah, it's going to get real.
Is this the series that will have the most soap opera? Is there any other series you could think of that would have more soap opera than Lakers-Memphis, considering what Memphis can be? I don't think so.
I
can't come up with one.
The next best, if Miami wins tonight and they end up playing Milwaukee, you know, Jimmy Butler could get a little crazy.
Right.
So I could see him getting in Giannis's face or something. But yeah, Dillon Brooks and the Grizzlies versus the Lakers, and what Dillon Brooks has already said with his perm self looking like a light-skinned Cat Williams. It could get very, very crazy.
Social media in that series should be pretty wild.
Oh, I can't wait.
That should be incredible. 2:00 Sunday for LeBron and the Lakers getting started. 7:30 tomorrow night for Steph and Draymond and Golden State getting started. There's a look at the NBA playoffs, the games, as well as the storylines, because there's a lot of those. And tonight, again, is the 8-seed matchups to figure out who the 8 seeds are. Chicago at Miami, 6 o'clock tonight, TNT. Oklahoma City, Minnesota is 8:30 on ESPN. Winners get the 8 seeds tonight.
Yeah, somebody on the Specs text lines said the right thing. The quietness on the Bucks is wild because they're a number 1 seed. We're not really talking about them much.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of silence.
They're scary too.
That's a good silence for them, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, Drew Holiday, he's amazing. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Like the way that he changes the game defensively and is able to come back offensively and post up as a point guard and hit threes and set up his teammates. If Chris Middleton isn't playing like that 20-point Chris Middleton that we've seen in recent years and they get matched up with the Celtics, that's going to be tough for him again. But
now, is Middleton back and
ready
to roll?
He is back, but this is like 15 points a game. This is his worst scoring average in 7 years.
No, he's got to be giving him 20,
He
25.
has to be giving him that because Grayson Allen, I can't rely on him very much. Like,
not night in, night out.
Not night in, night out. Not the way Chris Middleton, the way he used to be able to be at point shooting guard type, put the ball in his hands on pick and roll situations and stuff. He has to get back to that.
That is interesting. That's good. That is a good comment. The silence around Milwaukee. That series will start with Milwaukee and whoever the 8 seed is on Sunday. 4:30 is when that one will happen. Check those listings there for you. NBA.com, ESPN.com. TNT obviously has some of the games as well. All right, coming up next, we'll get you the flex segment. We'll look at some of the local stars trying to make it big in the spring game for Texas. Also, we'll go over some of those jersey numbers for you as you're looking for the younger guys and what they're going to look like for the Longhorns. Stay with us. It's The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's continue to talk NBA and Underdog Fantasy. Easiest place to play fantasy sports and the playoffs. Obviously, you're about to crank up officially tomorrow, but you've still got play-in games tonight. Let's go to that Chicago-Miami game. How about DeMar DeRozan? 1.5 blocks plus steals, higher or lower? That one's interesting. How about 5 rebounds, higher or lower? And then Zach LaVine, do you think he's going to go off again? How about 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists? Add it all together. Is that going to be higher than that number or lower? That's what you try to figure out with a pick'em game. Just go to that tab at Underdog Fantasy, pick whether the player will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for your chance to win big. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build your pick'em entry. Get all the picks right. You can win up to 20 times your money on a single game. And I've already seen right here on my phone, they've already got matchups set for some of those other games, the playoff series that have been set, so you can look ahead to tomorrow and Sunday's action as well. Sign up today with the promo code HORN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. NBA Pick'em at Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
All right, rolling through a Friday. All you guitar players, you know this one. It's one of the first ones you got to learn, right? Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water.
This is the first one, huh?
Great riff. It's a great riff. There are very few people that learn how to play rock guitar that don't know that one. It's one of those early ones. You got to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Every friend I had that tried to learn how to play guitar, somewhere, I don't even know if they like Deep Purple, but somewhere in that little run, you'd hear them go, all right, man, see if you recognize this one. And it would be there every time, man. They would bust out the Smoke on the Water for you. Deep Purple, Green Day, and Duran Duran have all been on the show today. We appreciate Zay for all the great music, all the great basketball breakdown as well. We were just talking about the drama. And let's face it, in a couple situations, maybe not a ton of drama, at least right now. Doesn't feel like there's a ton of drama around Milwaukee, which could be dangerous for a lot of other teams. And Boston doesn't really feel like there's much drama hanging out. But just let Atlanta win one of those first two games, and then the drama will begin for that team. And obviously, if Milwaukee were to lose to an 8 seed in one of those first two games, then you'll get a lot of drama. So we've hit that. Obviously, there's a lot of spring game talk going on. I do appreciate the fan who texted us that Eva Longoria cutout picture. I forgot about that.
Oh, it's so classic.
It's such a great idea. Somebody behind the basket there way back in, they said it was Hornets fans back during the Tony Parker and Spurs run when I guess that would have been right after they split up.
Our guy Nate said they would have held Babalu for Tim Duncan.
That's funny. That
Bob,
is good.
you're my dude, man.
That is excellent. Excellent. All right. Lots of stuff going on in the world of basketball, but obviously there's a football focus around here with the spring game coming up tomorrow. By the way, if you go to hornfm.com, we got a story right there on top for you of all the sports and schedules and stations and where everything is going to be. Shout out to our promotion staff, Christina and the crew, for getting that put up. You can go check that out at hornfm.com. Let's get you your flex segment, and we'll continue to talk spring game. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right, remember to check out Flex ATX on your social media. There's a lot of cool stuff up there on the Twitter page, including some track and field love. People are throwing up different things people are doing out on the track, including a hurdles champion from Peyton Morgan, the talented football player out of Weiss, also showing that he's talented on the track as well. 110 hurdles champion. I'm assuming that's at the district meet. He also points out they took the 300 hurdles, so congrats there. He's in his full Texas Tech gear. Peyton Morgan is already committed to go to Texas Tech, and we will certainly wish him the best if that's where he ends up. We'll keep an eye on that, obviously. Some other stuff to check out on the Twitter page. Also, Zay, you just sent me something on another offer. This is a D1 offer from Texas State for Caden Cook out of Stony Point.
Yep, that's right. Shout out to Caden Cook. Just got an offer. Texas State. That's big. He is entering his junior season next year, class of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we know a lot of talented guys come out of that Stony Point area, and Caden Cook, he's one of them. So shout out to the seed, Nolan Hogan, for sending that.
There you go. And best of luck to Caden getting ready for his junior year. Texas State offer for him. Also, we figured this would be a good time to talk about some of the flex guys that you will see tomorrow in the spring game as we start talking jersey numbers. Let's go ahead and start with the Westlake crew, because there's a few of them on this Texas team. Zay, how about the defensive line? Ethan Burke's going to be rocking 91, and now Colton Vasek is right next to him, at least numerically, with 92.
Yeah, defense like University of Texas at Westlake.
How about that?
I mean, they should be. Westlake's always getting to the state championship, and they always have that type of talent. So, Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Ethan Burke out there. You heard Baron Sorrell talk about him in his presser yesterday about that's the guy that's opposite of him that seems like is getting the first string reps as of now. So coming into his sophomore season, all the hype with Ethan Burke, rangy, Aiden Hutchinson type. Hopefully he's put on some more weight so he could play in a full year in the Power 6 conference like the Big 12 and be productive. Because, again, we need more sacks. And the edge guys, they're going to be key because I kind of have a good feeling about Byron Murphy and Travondre Sweat. I think those guys are going to do an excellent job filling in for Keandre Coburn and Moro Ojimo. But those guys on the edge, Ovia Gofu, he gone. And you got to make up for that. So Baron Sorrell, feel good about him. But on that other side, Ethan Burke, I think Colton Vasek, like Ethan Burke last year, is another year away. So, yeah, very intrigued to see those edge rushing guys. Hopefully they can make some noise tomorrow.
A couple other Westlake products. We'll see how they fit into things. Michael Taff obviously had made a little bit of noise in terms of special teams last year, made a couple plays. He'll wear 36 again, so be on the lookout for him. We'll see if anything increases for him in terms
Fresh
of
scholarship,
what
Michael
he's able.
Taff.
That's right, and it's on Scully now. Congratulations to Taff, obviously, for that. The other name we were talking about getting ready for the show, Zay, is Connor Robertson. What does it look like now? Got the redshirt year behind him. Big 62 is Connor Robertson. Is he just a guy we'll talk about that went to Westlake and he's on the roster, or is this a guy that can start to help make a bit of an impression, if not an impact? Because that's a rotation kind of position there at offensive line. Does he end up in the mix at some point during this season, or does he show the promise that maybe it's next season he's really getting in the discussion?
Yeah, we'll see. The good thing about this offensive line, just the full room, is that they're deep. So I don't know if Connor Robinson's there yet. He still looks like a baby. We talked about
he really
in
does.
his photo, like the dude still looks like he's 16 years old, but another year in at the 40 acres, what can he be? We know Kelvin Banks and Christian Jones, those spots are locked up. Tackles, those spots are locked up. Hayden Connor, we'll see. Jake Majors, we'll see. I feel like he'll be able to start again. So guys like that, you mentioned Cam Williams. Everybody's been raving about him. Heard Byron Murphy talk about how nasty he is. So hopefully he can get in there and get some reps too. So very deep offensive lineman. Maybe Connor Robinson could be a rotation type player, but I think it's a year away from him too.
Yeah, we'll see with Connor. Some other jerseys to keep an eye on in terms of this guy is certainly local. Charles Wright still wearing number 14. See if he gets any time at quarterback. There's obviously been a lot of talk about quarterback, but the Austin High product may get out there.
He loves his school, obviously.
No doubt. There's no doubt.
I don't see no room for him. Like, Charles Wright, I know you're a good kid, dog, and I hope you're having a great time being at the University of Texas, but, man, can they even get a chair for him in the quarterback room?
I'm sure he can sit down, yeah.
Okay, like, is he one of them dudes that has to sit on the floor?
I'm sure he can sit down.
Okay, let's make a show, because woo.
They got good facilities over there.
They
I'm sure
do.
They got 4 chairs in
They
that
do.
room.
All right, just make a show. I'm just saying.
I'm going to say 6 to 8 chairs are in that room. If they need them. I'm going to say there's 6 to 8 chairs in that room. I think.
Yeah, because if there's 4 chairs in there, AJ Milwee or 5, Sark, AJ Milwee, we know the other 3.
Yeah,
somebody got to sit.
That's fair. That's fair.
Can't have Quinn Ewers sit on the floor.
Another guy that would be a flex guy from the area. Let's see if Jahdae Barron, number 23, on the defensive side. Let's see if there's progression for him.
One of my favorite players, man. He is so tough. And, yeah, him being an Austin Knight, there's a little bit more there. And I think he's very prideful in that, being a Conley guy.
I'd forgotten about that he's Conley.
Yeah, I know.
My bad, Jahdae.
Yeah, last year he got hosed for second team all Big 12. He was so good at that nickelback spot, so just solid and forcing turnovers, being in the right spot to make tackles. And he's only going to get better with another year. So I'm really excited about what he could do. And it just seems like when he's in the game, you don't have to worry about that spot. And hopefully Jalen Gilbo, who both of those guys, I know they're tight. hopefully he could get healthy and we could see him more because I think he has a lot of promise also.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go through. We'll go through some jerseys here, just kind of new guys you may be looking for. Anthony Hill, 0, in case you don't know, the talented linebacker. Jonte Cook, we've talked about from DeSoto. He'll wear number 2. C.J. Baxter wears 4. They called him C4, and hopefully he'll live up to that kind of a nickname if you're a Longhorn fan. Also, some new names. A.D. Mitchell's going to wear number 5. The transfer from Georgia. Malik Murphy, 6. I thought we'd throw that in because just reminding yourself about Malik Murphy. He'll wear number 6. Gavin Holmes, the safety transfer from Wake, I believe it is, right? I think Wake for him?
Yes.
Yeah, number 9 is what he'll wear. Gavin Holmes will wear 9. Nair is going to wear 8. DeAndre Moore, the talented receiver, will wear 9. Jaden Blue's going to rock a 23 on the offensive side. And some guy named Arca? No, Arch. I'm sorry, Arch Manning. He'll wear 16. In case you haven't heard that, I think that's been announced more than any other jersey number in a long while. Arch is going to rock the 1-6.
Yeah, I think
tomorrow.
Gavin Holmes is a cornerback, but yeah, I'm interested to see what he could do. I wish Jalen.
Yeah, my bad. Corner transfer. You're right.
I wish Jalen Catalon was playing, but I'm glad he's not. Like how good that he can be. We know what he was that first year in Fayetteville, and he's been injury prone ever since. He don't need to play. We know that.
Yeah, he's still dealing with something.
Yeah, he's
right?
still dealing. I think with that shoulder injury, another surgery. But yeah, I'm good on that. You hear about Jaron Thompson becoming more of a leader. I think he's going to have that secondary really going. And yeah, tomorrow should be really exciting, man. I can't wait.
Weather should be good. And again, spring game about 1 o'clock. And we'll get you that pregame at Bevo Boulevard at 11, 9 a.m. for the autographs. Check out hornfm.com for all that info. Got a postgame call-in show for you as well, since we thought there might be an opinion or two after seeing Arch Manning throw a pass. More importantly, seeing Quinn Ewers throw some passes. What do the receivers look like? Which running backs step up? Lines of scrimmage, how does it look? Longhorn fans, we know you're looking forward to it. It is just 1 day away. We're hitting it a lot today. In fact, coming up at 2:05, we're rolling the dice once again on my man Jeff Ketchum. I have texted Jeff Ketchum to see if he's ready to come on the show. I haven't heard back yet today. We're going to play Jeff Ketchum Roulette coming up at 2:05. We might talk to him about the spring game. He might stiff us or somewhere in the middle. Who knows? That's coming up. We'll continue to talk spring game. Up next, where are we at in society? Zay will let us know. This is The Horn. Yes, indeed, and hopefully you have a good, reliable car to get over to that spring game tomorrow. Car, truck, SUV. If you know you need something new for the upcoming football season, or maybe it's the upcoming summertime where you got into vacation season, maybe you've got a kid heading off to college in the fall, and you know you need to get them a reliable car, Apple Leasing is a great way to do any or all of that. They are the home of the Easy Lease. You're going to be paying for the part of the car that you're using. It enables you to really get your finances set up moving forward, and it is the easiest and safest way to get a new car. It's real simple. You call 346-9977, just like I did, and start talking to them about what you're looking for. I called up, I talked to Beth, and a couple conversations in, the wheels were in motion, and I was so impressed with how they do things because they've got a lot of contacts out there. They go out and do the legwork for you. They go find all the rebates, all the discounts, all the incentives that those dealers have for you. They get you those savings, but they save you all that dealer hassle. You're signing everything electronically, so you're not having to worry about that, sitting at a dealership for hours and hours and hours. You're not dealing with a particular dealership where you may not find the selection that you want. You're getting all the different options that Apple Leasing has. It's a fantastic process, and in the end, they'll deliver it to your driveway just like they did for me, if that's what you need them to do. Call 346-9977. Again, 346-9977, or check out appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right. I think I got this one. This would be Steve Miller Band.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Is this Keep on a Rockin' Me, Baby? Or no, this is our big old Jet Airliner.
Jet Airliner.
Jet Airliner, yeah. Steve Miller Band, Deep Purple, Green Day, and Duran Duran. Never saw Steve Miller Band back in the day, but I had a friend who went and saw him and was thoroughly impressed.
Really?
Said Steve Miller played every instrument on the stage. It was just really a big time entertaining show. And he said song after song, you're like, oh, yeah, that's Steve Miller. Oh, yeah, that's Steve Miller. Oh, yeah, that's Steve Miller. So shout out to the Steve Miller Band. A lot of people, I know a lot of people have that, 8-track, cassette, CD. It's on your iPod. It's in your streaming. A lot of people have Steve Miller going on.
It's a good groove.
Yeah, he's really, really good. All right, so a lot of good stuff here on a Friday. Coming up, we'll talk more Texas spring game. Also, if you have not heard about the comments from Paul George in I guess it was a podcast.
Yeah, his own podcast.
He threw out a wonderful discussion for Sports Talk Radio, and we'll get into that next hour. And we also remind you, Ball Don't Lie, they are headed out on the road today. So if you're up in the Georgetown area, go on out and meet the fellas at Ron Hoover RV and Marine Center in Georgetown. They are kicking off their first ever spring extravaganza. It's today through Sunday. The best deals ever on over 200 RVs, boats, and mowers in stock. Go to the events calendar at hornfm.com for the details. Ball Don't Lie will be out there from 3 to 6:15, and that is when the big Texas baseball series gets started. Texas at Baylor. Texas 6-3 in conference. It's tonight at 6:30. It's tomorrow at 2. It's Sunday at 1. Tomorrow's game, because of the spring football game, will be over on 1260 and 101.9. Interesting note, Lucas Gordon listed as the pitcher for today. Charlie Hurley is listed as the pitcher for tomorrow. TBA on Sunday.
Ooh.
So the Longhorns have still not gotten that part of it cemented in about exactly where that rotation is going to be. I heard Keith Moreland on with Craig this week talking about it, and he said he really feels like Lucas Gordon may be the only guy who can absolutely say, okay, I got a spot. Others, they're still trying to figure that out. So we'll see how Hurley looks this weekend. And then is it LeBaron Johnson or is it one of the other guys, maybe Whitehead, that steps in there on Sunday? We'll see.
Yeah, going 3-2 against Kansas State and Texas State in the course of 5 days. It's all right. We knew it would be tough in that Tuesday game, trying to just find arms and stuff, that you're not trying to get too fatigued going into Waco this weekend. So hopefully if the Horns get a sweep, you can bounce back and start looking really good again.
And here's another thing, I'll keep bringing it up. Is this the last time Texas baseball will ever play in Waco? And deep down, does that cause some weirdness in this series? We'll see. Something else I was thinking about today. You think Baylor fans want to play y'all moving forward?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
I keep wondering, because it's one of those things of you get so used to having something like that around. What's it like when it leaves? If I'm Baylor, you're already not playing A&M on a regular basis, but I don't think that was as big for them as Texas. When Texas is gone, do you still care enough about Tech, TCU, stuff like that in the state?
Like now U of H is a rival, maybe?
U of H is coming into the conference, right? You're going to have to try to care about that.
That's going to be a rival in basketball since LJ Cryer went from Waco to Houston.
Yeah. So I just wonder, if I was a Baylor fan, would I be excited? Not excited, but once Texas goes to the SEC, do you think, yeah, I'd like to still play them? Or do you just think good riddance and you're glad to see the Longhorns move on? I don't know.
I mean, they want to play us when they beat us.
Yeah. I'm not sure. If I was a Baylor fan, I'd want to play the game, but that's just me. I'm kind of wired that way. But we'll see what the vibe is coming out of that series this weekend. All right, let's go where we at in society, see what Zay's got for us here on a Friday.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, what drama did you find for us today?
So J.R. Smith went on J.J. Redick's Old Man and a Three podcast. Great podcast, one of the best in the NBA. And JJ was asking him about multiple things. J.R. Smith has a Amazon documentary that is either out or coming out. I want to say it's a 4-parter because we know JR went from retiring from the NBA to going to an HBCU in North Carolina and playing golf.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because he always grew up a golf guy. Everybody thinks, J.R. Smith's this real hood dude because he has all the tats and he's so crazy and stuff. No, he grew up playing golf.
Now, see, they just thought he couldn't get on the course because he wouldn't wear a shirt.
Oh, that's true.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's true. I always forget about that part of him.
That's when I don't recognize him. It's like, what is he doing out there? Why does he have a shirt on? What's going on?
Yeah, so J.R. Smith on this podcast, he said a couple of things that we'll talk about here.
Okay.
The first thing, which you don't have to pull that up on your DMs yet, he talked about his tenure with the Nuggets and George Karl dealing with him. And he basically said that George Karl was terrible. George Karl was very disrespectful.
Really?
George Karl treated them like children. He didn't treat them like men. And George Karl would make things up like he would go to JR and be like, yo, Melo says that you need to pass the ball more. Melo says this and that. And he would go to Melo and be like, yo, JR and Kenyon Martin and all these guys, they're saying this and that. So he would make up things to try to get the most out of his players while he was like, I would go to Melo and ask him, you say this? And he'd be like, nah. And Melo would be like, you say this? And JR would be like, nah. And they would figure out, oh, this dude Karl is foul. So
didn't the coach think the players might talk to each other?
That's what I'm saying. And I've always heard mixed reviews of George Karl. Even back during his Seattle Supersonics days, and you hear the story of Michael Jordan walking into the restaurant and seeing George Karl, who's a North Carolina guy, and Jordan tried to shout him out, and Karl didn't even look his way, and Jordan used that as bulletin board material. George Karl's always been an interesting guy, and JR just flat out said, yo, you're not a good coach. You just always had talent at all the good places you were. You had GP, Deadlift Shrimp, Sean Kemp, so yeah, you were good. You didn't have to coach much. So he just said, George Karl, you ain't nothing. And yeah, now people are probably thinking a different way about George Karl. So that's one thing. The other thing he said, you remember the incident where he threw the soup on Damon Jones and got like suspended for a couple of games and fined.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten about that.
Days. He finally explained it. He says, in the lunchroom, getting my soup. He comes in, Damon Jones. Mind you, the soup was hot. I mean, come on.
It is soup.
I mean, it's soup. I mean, yeah.
Most soup is hot.
I'm like the first person in there, and he's trying to make me spill it. It took me a second. It wasn't a rageful throw. It was like, okay, you're playing with me. I'm going to show you. I threw it on him. He over there screaming because the ish is hot. I'm like, see, you're going to stop playing with me now, right?
Oh, so there was some instruction to this. You know what? I might be on J.R. Smith's side here. I would never advise someone intentionally throwing soup on someone, but if you're being provoked like that, if somebody's being a child, we may need to teach them not to be a child.
It was chicken tortilla soup, by the way.
Ooh, chicken tortilla, that can get hot.
They can get hot. Don't play with me and my chicken tortilla soup. There's some really good chicken tortilla soups here in the ATX.
See, this is where I am, because I'm an anti-prank guy. I'm not a prank.
Neither am I.
Not a prank person.
Don't prank me.
I'm not into that stuff, and especially that when we can't be joking and pranking about.
You're a coach, Damon Jones. What are we doing? Like, if this spills on me, it's gonna burn. I'll probably be able to play, but that's not good.
So wait, Damon Jones was a coach at the time?
Yes. This was Coach Damon Jones, not the player Damon Jones when he was getting dunked on by LeBron James and stuff.
So this is one of the assistant coaches trying to spill the soup of a player?
Right. It's never made sense to me. I'm glad that he's tried to clarify.
Now it's a little clearer.
But it still doesn't make sense. Like, my first thought wouldn't be, oh, he's trying to mess with me to drop the soup. I'm going to put the soup down and let him know, quit playing with me and my food.
That's just dumb.
Don't mess with me and my food, coach.
Especially that. A bowl of soup, like the chances of the bowl of soup not being hot, it's so low. There's a couple of soups out there. There's like, what is it, cold, like gazpacho and stuff like that. But dude, it's soup. When you see a bowl of soup, you should, that's like if you saw a grilled cheese sandwich. Assume that's hot, right?
Yeah.
A pizza's just being served up. It's sitting there. Do we assume that's hot or cold? Come on, Coach Jones.
It's a stupid story. Now, JR, you're still in the wrong. You don't throw soup on anybody.
No, you probably shouldn't.
Like, y'all are grown-ass men. Y'all are millionaires out here. Act right. Let's have some home training. But now we know more context from it.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, and the thing I would say to Jones there is, you went through all of that with J.R. Smith? Like, you have to have been around him a little bit, right? J.R. Smith doesn't feel like a guy who's scared of a whole lot.
No.
Fearful of a lot of things. Plus, he's a guy with all those tats all over the body. That tells me he's got a pain threshold that might be a little different than yours.
Oh, he's got them on the neck and stuff.
So let's not go messing with that guy, because you might get hot soup thrown on you. If I'd watched that from a distance, I'd have made sure everybody was okay and then said, hey, can we get you some medical attention? And that was dumb on your part.
Yeah, I remember having to read that story like 3 times when it came out. J.R. Smith threw soup on the assistant coach. He's fine? Suspended? What?
Yeah, and you ultimately do have to punish him for that. You do. I get it, but then to hear that he was sort of provoked, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, somebody on Specs text line said they got dunked on by Damon Jones. Damn.
All right.
That's dope.
There you go.
No, getting dunked on isn't that bad. It's a little embarrassing at the moment, but you never play nobody if you don't get dunked on.
Yeah, right. Especially, it's a particularly great story if you are, somewhere in that mid-level status and then they're a great or at least a good. That's a good story to tell.
Yeah, I hit a 3 on Dexter Pittman in a pickup game at Old Concordia. He dunked on me. The next play on me sent me to the bleachers.
There you go.
Got back up, kept on playing.
Dude, I wish I had a story about me getting dunked on.
Oh, I love Dexter Pittman was huge, too. Y'all remember he came in overweight, like 300-something. Rick Barnes got that weight down by like 70 pounds or so. He was still big. And that team was pretty good.
I never got dunked on, Zay, because I never got on the court. I mean, I'm not getting dunked on because I wasn't out there. I was not there. So shout out to you, Texan, that you were out there with Damon Jones, because I would have been watching that game.
Yeah, you're that guy when they're picking teams and they come by you, they go,
Nope.
Who else we got? Who coming in?
Hey, Chad, can you go get that something out of my car? There's a bag with shoes in it. Can you go get that out of my car?
How far Rodney at? I know we got 9. We can raid on Rodney. Rodney's like 20 minutes away. We can wait.
No, we're good.
We can wait.
We're good. We'll play zone. We'll play zone. We're fine. You're good. You're good.
That's how you know you're bad. When guys say, you know what, we're just going to play 4-on-4. I know we got 9, but you ain't gonna. We're just going to play 4-on-4. You got to wait it out.
No, Chad, you sit over there. He's going to be all-time point guard. You're fine. You're fine. Just sit down, please. Please get
all-time point guard.
Please get away from us. All right, coming up, your 2 o'clock hour. We'll see if Jeff Ketchum wants to talk any Longhorn football. And what did Paul George say about NBA players and NFL players? We'll get into that discussion on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, I like that beat. Let's go hour number 3 on a Friday. Chad and Zay here. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. He picks out a beat to start every third hour. What do you got, Zay? I like it.
Big Mo, just a dog. On the H-Town.
Okay. Big Mo.
Yeah,
Very
Big
good.
Mo, R.I.P. I don't know how Big Mo died. I forgot. I don't know if he was shot or if he was another one that got hit by the syrup. Because he talked about it a lot.
Did he?
And he was a bigger fella, so.
I see.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the syrup is good for you.
It's not.
Anyway, but I'm just saying if you're if you're unhealthy in other ways,
yeah,
I can't imagine that's a good combo.
If you have a cough, it can help.
Don't do that.
What do you mean?
Don't do that. If you have a cough, one ingredient can help, not the whole thing. No, we can't be spreading that kind of medical advice. Big Mo with the beat getting us started this hour. Texas spring game tomorrow. We are almost there. 1 o'clock for that kick time. We'll do a call-in show afterwards. 11 a.m. on the pregame from Bevo Boulevard. And if you want to go get some autographs, they're going to crank it up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Remember, you can't bring your stuff. Don't go bringing some weird pair of shoes that you think Arch Manning will sign for you. I don't even know if Arch is going to be a part of the signing. Let me be clear about that. But whoever's there, they've got a poster for you. They'll get you the thing to sign. Don't bring your own stuff. But they've got all that figured out for you. Go to hornfm.com for all the scheduling of that. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. We'll get more on the spring game with Jeff Ketchum of orangebloods.com. If you want to add him to your follows, that's at GK Catch. And if you're just now adding him to your follows, welcome to Twitter. How are you, Catch?
I'm good. Good to talk to you on this Friday. It feels like, when was the last time we talked? It's been a couple of weeks.
It has been. We were able to get last Friday off, and I'm not sure if we talked the Friday before that. So it's been a little while. How have you been? You good?
I'm good. I was just in my head, all of the various spring football stories are kind of kicking about. Curious where you want to begin and where we go.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I thought maybe this would be an entry point. A lot of people obviously will throw out the idea. The most important thing, you want to come out of the game healthy. Is there anything you'd tell a Longhorn fan going in about health? Is there some big name that they think they're going to see that Sark is probably going to, rest a little bit just to make sure?
I feel like you're asking me, when a team's had a relatively injury-free spring, I mean, they haven't had a Junior Angelau or Isaiah Nayor type injury.
Right.
And I feel like anytime you ever point out, hey, we just went through 14 practices and nobody important got hurt, you're putting yourself in danger of being jinx guy. But it really is important to note that they've been able to get through really 6 weeks of practice. This thing started a while back. They go a week and then they take spring break, and now they've had the last month to really put in the majority of the work. I think that it's hard not to begin with there's no injury cloud hanging over the team. They've got some guys that are banged up. I think everybody realized early on that Jalen Catalan was going to be a guy they were going to make sure his shoulder is okay. You do have guys who are coming off of knee injuries, whether it be a guy like Jalen Gilbo at that nickelback or, Isaiah Nayor. Mm-hmm. Other than what I think was expected, they've done okay on the injury front, and knock on wood, right? But that's always, I feel like in the NFL every year there's a story about that season that gets told by what teams suffered injuries that just wiped them out. Texas hasn't had any of those, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
Catch, we know when it comes to the linebacker position, you and Anwar do a great job, and I heard y'all talking about it this past week when y'all dropped y'all's episode on Monday. We know Jalen Ford. We know he's good. He should have got Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. We know that's fine. But on that other side, that linebacker position, what can we see tomorrow? Who are you expecting to show out, from the freshmen, LaFau and Anthony Hill, to guys like Morris Blackwell? And who do you think could step up Dave Benda and be that starting role when we get to September?
I don't know that I expect anything, which is kind of what makes tomorrow kind of interesting. The coaches have really said repeatedly that David Benda is a guy that a year ago played in 8 games and generally just wasn't trusted by this coaching staff to play a lot of football at a position that, they could still use some help. And now he'd be a starter if there was a game tomorrow. So what does that look like? What does progress for David Benda look like? It sounds like some has been made. What does that mean? I'm curious to see what that looks like. You mentioned a guy like Maurice Blackwell. Well, he's still kind of ascending. What does his ascension look like? Sarkisian mentions earlier this week that 5-star linebacker Anthony Hill has looked really good getting after the quarterback when they've used him in some kind of specialized packages. How much of those things pop up tomorrow in ways that make you think, okay, this is a real thing, as opposed to us just constantly asking the same questions all the way up into the beginning stretches of September. I think there's a lot of guys that fit the category of there's supposed to be some improvement there. What does it actually look like? I think that's all over the field tomorrow.
Talking with Jeff Ketchum, orangebloods.com. All right, Ketch, let's talk some quarterbacks here. In terms of what you want to see, give me some development you want to see out of Quinn Ewers, and what do you think we're going to see from Malik Murphy? I'm sure there are a lot of Longhorn fans thinking, man, I want to see Malik Murphy. I've heard a lot about him, seen a little bit, but they haven't obviously seen a lot. What do we expect from those two?
I think with Ewers, I don't know that we're going to see a lot tomorrow that will change the way we think if I'm going into the season. Some things just have to be determined by how well guys play in games. There will be a test in Tuscaloosa in week 2 that will really tell us a lot about what kind of real improvements Quinn has made. I think tomorrow you will see a guy that looks a lot more comfortable in his skin as the starting quarterback. It really is his job. And I think he really does understand that as he goes, this team will go. And I think every step of the way in that process, I think you're hearing and seeing that he's committing himself to those things in ways that maybe sometimes you can't learn something until you realize you have to learn something. And that may be where he is. So I think we're just going to see a better Quinn Ewers, but I don't know that we'll learn anything. I think we can learn some things tomorrow about the backup quarterback position. It's going to be really kind of exciting. We haven't seen a lot. We haven't seen any of Arch Manning, and we've seen very little of Malik Murphy. So that these guys will be competing, and Chad, you've done enough of these spring games to know that spring game narratives, they can be great in those dead summer months when we have nothing to talk about. And it's like, but remember what Malik Murphy did in the spring game? That could be a whole day of radio.
Yep.
So I think that, it would be really cool to see both of those young quarterbacks just have a moment that you're going, okay, that's what that guy is all about. That's what he can do. I'd love to see that from Malik Murphy tomorrow, because I think he's in a real battle with Arch Manning. And Arch Manning, what we're learning through the first 15 practices, is pretty good. He makes throws that make you go, okay, that's why everybody thinks he's going to one day play in the NFL. Malik Murphy's as capable of anybody in that quarterback roster with making that kind of a throw. But let's see it in some live action, maybe against the first team defense. I'd love to just get a little snippet from both that makes you go, okay, there's still a battle taking place. I think the dangerous thing would be if Malik Murphy comes out and doesn't play well. You just never know with these spring games. I've seen really good quarterbacks have statistically poor spring games, and I've seen poor quarterbacks have both good and bad spring games. So you don't want to overreact too much to what's taking place. But it would be a bad thing, I think, if Manning looks a certain kind of way and Murphy looks like he's not in that realm. It's just one day, but we know how these narratives can take off, Chad, and I think that it's the one thing, if you're Texas, you don't want to get away from you, because you really do want Malik Murphy to stay in the program and not leave. And I think the coaches have done it. I think Steve Sarkisian has gone out of his way to set this thing up that nobody truly has an edge in playing time, and that battle's not over. But it could look over tomorrow, and optics can sometimes make guys do certain kinds of things.
You know, Catch, these 14 practices leading up to tomorrow's spring game, we haven't really talked about the secondary much. And I think it's just because, you know, still questions who's going to be right there with Jalen Ford, what we're going to do with the edge position. But the secondary, you still got to replace Anthony Cook, who had a really solid season last year, and Deshaun Jameson, who started a lot of games in that burnt orange. With what you've been hearing spring thus far and what leading up to tomorrow, how do you think the secondary looks and is going to look?
I think the secondary is, for me, it's the strength of the Texas defense right now. And I think one of the reasons why you don't hear a lot about the secondary, because they're not getting burned. You know, Kelvin Banks has had a pretty quiet spring. A lot of that is because once guys start playing really well, you just kind of take it for granted. They just sometimes fade off into the distance. I think they probably feel like there's an upgrade to be made from Deshaun Jameson at cornerback last season. I think they've got a couple of guys. You know, I think Gavin Holmes coming in from the ACC as a transfer, he's a guy that could slide into that position. It could be Terrence Brooks, who really started to play I thought he was a real bright spot down the season for Texas last year, down the stretch. And so now I think a lot of people forget he's one of the highest rated recruits that the Longhorns in the modern history of recruiting have landed at in the defensive backfield. So he should start playing really good football right about now. So I think that you add in Jahdae Barron, you add in Watts, you start counting the guys that Texas has in the secondary that are pretty good to very good players. And I think you're looking at a group that's going to be really good. I think the question mark is, who's going to play safety next to Jaron Thompson, who pretty quietly had a pretty good year last year. I don't know that a lot of Texas fans would realize he was the leading tackler, and, you know, what's missing from his game is what's missing from almost everybody on that defense, which is, okay, you're a very good player. Now make the special plays that differentiate very good from great. And I think
Come on, phone. You can do it.
Catch was speaking that real too.
It's like
I think we lost him.
It's like the phone heard the comma in his sentence too.
Right.
The phone really knew there was something there.
Well, someone's really revving it up.
Man, oh man,
right next to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was he in a race? Did we just hear the
Someone
beginning?
was really revving it up. I would call him back, but it's almost time to break. I don't know.
Wow, I felt like that was the beginning of
if he calls us back
of a Fast and Furious moment there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we.
So the piggyback what Catch was saying about the secondary, Chad. Catch is because he said who's going to be by Jaron Thompson, and my first thought is Jalen Catalon, but you can't rely on him at this moment and what we've seen.
And we know he'll be resting tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be resting tomorrow. We can't rely on him. These last 2 years up in Arkansas, he wasn't available. And it's so nice to go back to his freshman year where he was first team all SEC. That's beautiful, and that's what we're hoping as Texas fans to see this year. But yeah, I get why because I know Longhorn fans' antennas went up when he said, who's going to be by Jaron Thompson? It should be Jalen Catalon. It should be.
Right.
But with his injury track record, you can't rely on them yet. So Keaton Crawford, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see as, we get to this season and September comes around.
Going to be crazy. All right, so thanks to Jeff for his time. We hope he wins the race that he's been challenged to right there. He may need
maybe that was it. Maybe he had to focus.
He needed to go get some focus and get the nitrous all ready and get that all, get the button ready to press and all that kind of stuff. Jeff Ketchum, orangebloods.com, at GKCatch on Twitter if you want to give him a follow. Obviously, the spring game is tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we will have it for you right here on the Horn. All right, coming up next, why today matters. On this April 14th, we're going to dig into some comments Paul George made about NBA players and NFL players. You can tell us if you agree with what he said. I can't wait to hear what Zay has to say about this one. Stay with us. It's the Horn. All right, let's talk a little Underdog Fantasy. Easiest place to play fantasy sports. NBA playoffs officially crank up tomorrow, but you've already had the play-in games getting started, and you can do pick'em games on all of it. Go to the Pick'em tab at Underdog Fantasy. I was checking out one of the games tonight earlier. We're talking about DeRozan and Levine for Chicago. Pick the players that you like, or maybe it's the players you don't like, but it's the players that you think if they're going to go higher or lower than a particular stat total for the game. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a Pick'em entry. You get all those picks right, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single game. Also, check out the Rivals picks. That pits 2 players against each other on certain stats. It's a lot of fun to have going on while the games are happening. You can do it right there on your phone, just like I do. Sign up today with the promo code HORN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. NBA Pick'em games. Get in one right now at Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, yeah? Yeah? Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. Do you have to pay Rick James for that, by the way?
For what?
If you start the song that way, she's a very freaky girl, and we all think a super freak?
No.
Well, at least I think a super freak.
No.
I don't have to pay Rick for that?
No.
Okay. Just asking.
I mean, Rick ain't no longer with us, so his fam?
Somebody,
get that?
somebody might ask for it.
Nah.
I don't know. All right, so do I have a shot here?
Nah.
No chance? Who is it?
Gucci Mane.
Oh, okay. This is new stuff, right? Newer last few years? No?
Nah, this is older Gucci.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a really big run. 2007, 2012. He's still big, but
Yeah,
you know.
I guess that's what I meant. Is he still a current, respected rapper?
Yes.
Like, okay. Kids aren't making fun of new Gucci Mane right now?
I don't think so.
Because I know there are some that would probably make fun of, if Jay-Z puts out a new album, there's kids that aren't interested.
Oh, those kids need to be locked up.
Because he's too old for them now, right?
Nah, Hov ain't never too old for nobody.
Okay, just checking. All right, Gucci Mane, Steve Miller Band, Deep Purple, Green Day, and Duran Duran have all been a part of the show today. We appreciate you checking us out today. The text line has been fired up throughout the day, 337-3776. We've had everything from thoughts on the spring game to someone making fun of me for saying nitrous button because I'm not sure if that was the right Fast and Furious lingo, to people just simply typing to us, Big Mo died of syrup. All that has happened on the show today. Plus, we are getting some good dunk stories in, Zay. Someone says they were dunked on by former Longhorn Albert Burdett.
Damn.
At the old Clark Field courts. That's fantastic. This says, I got dunked on by David Robinson back in the day at the Motorola late night game. He was there to speak during the day, and the guys told him about the games at midnight. Good times, except I'm only 6'1", so his business was basically on top of my head for a brief moment. Ah, the Admiral. I see. Okay. You got introduced to the Admiral in more ways
At least
than
he was
one.
nice about it. He's a really nice guy.
Sounds like it. And also, people have texted us, Zay, about this Mikey Williams story. I was wondering why people were texting that name to us earlier. There's a Memphis basketball recruit named Mikey Williams. He is facing gun charges. This guy's made some history. He was the first high school basketball player, if I'm reading this right, to sign a massive deal with a shoemaker. And I think it was Puma. And he is, what does it say here, ranked 34th on ESPN's list of top 100 recruits. He is he'll make his first court appearance, I think, next week. But it's multiple charges of assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. 5 years ago, probably when he was in the 8th grade, Mikey Williams was the best player in the nation. And he got big because he played with Bronny James. And that's when LeBron James Jr., he started hitting the AAU circuit. So a lot of cameras were on his team, and Mikey Williams was the best player on that team. So
I see.
He's been in the limelight for a really long time, which is why he has so many NIL deals. And yeah, this is very interesting. You knew he was going to fall off a little bit, but he's still a top 50 player. He was supposed to go play for Penny Hardaway. Let's see what happens now.
Yeah, he was arrested yesterday. Let's hope that situation, first off, let's hope nobody is hurt. Assault with a deadly weapon. I've not heard the specifics of it. Are we talking about a pistol whipping here? What are we talking about? I have not heard those details, but we'll keep an eye on that story with Mikey Williams.
By the way, somebody on Specs text line said, "Hey Zay, did you get dunked on by one of the Griffin twins?" Hell no.
No?
Michael and Marcus never dunked on me.
Okay. Just make sure we're
The
clear.
story is Mike never paid me that $1,000 for weekly dunking the ball in the hoop. It was, Zay, you can't dunk. Yeah, I can. I put $1,000 on it right now. Rookie Michael Griffin, Tennessee Titans, 19th pick, whatever he was, first round. He had it. It was a weak dunk.
But you dunked it.
But I dunked it. The ball went in, and it was too weak for his liking. Still hasn't paid me.
Ooh,
that's the story.
I see.
But yeah, those dudes never dunk on me. I actually gave them buckets when they used to come
There
and hoop
you go.
and
There
stuff.
you go.
Yeah. Mac had them going crazy down there. They were always trying to come to Bowie and, get some cardio in. They got worked by your boy. They remember them days. Getting jab, step, pulled up jumper on. Yeah, I was like Bernard King on the court with those guys, man.
That's fantastic. One other quick text here says, I just made the nasty face when I heard that beat come on. It's going to be stuck, Zay.
What, Freaky Girl?
I think so.
That's a jam.
I guess so. It's good. It's a good beat. All right. Let's get into why today matters. Paul George has a statement. We're going to figure out if we agree with it. All right, April 14th today. Zay, would you like to present this idea, and then we'll discuss it? You're the one that made me aware of it. So Paul George is on a podcast, and he threw out what now?
Yeah, Paul George on this podcast. Hopefully he'll get to play in the playoffs, but it's not looking that way in this first-round series against the Suns and Clippers. But PG, he said something interesting on his own podcast. He said he thinks that NBA players have a better chance of going to the NFL than NFL players have a better chance of making the NBA. And yeah, that's interesting. I think every player's different, but I will have to agree. I think it's a little more difficult for a player in the NFL to go play in the league. Now, Charlie Ward, he probably could have been that guy because he played in the NBA and he won a Heisman. So I think he just chose the money and, his health going the basketball route.
Mm-hmm.
But I think of somebody like a Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason, because I know people are going to say, oh, NBA players are soft. Well, some are, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say nothing about those Pat Riley 90s New York Knicks teams that weren't very skilled, but used their bodies and use their toughness to win them games and push them through playoff series. So the height in the NFL, guys aren't that tall.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain guys like Jonathan Ogden, back when he played, he was like 6'8", 6'9". So there are guys, but I'm trying to think, other than a Charlie Ward, who else? Like DK Metcalf, I've seen him play in a Celebrity All-Star game. He was good for a football player, but I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think, again, I thought of the height issue too. Statistically speaking, when you think about the two groups of people we're talking about, I kind of get where Paul George is going. Also, because you got to have, in one case, you're saying you're going from a league where you got 53 guys on a roster, there's all kinds of variation of positions, and there's all kinds of different, then you talk about like the height issue. The height is averaged out differently in an NFL roster. And an NBA roster, you are going down to a number of 12 to 15, right, on a full roster
right
in the NBA. So that's specialized by itself. And then the game itself has to be specialized because you do have to be a certain height in most cases. And then now if we're, freak to freak, if you're saying, let's look at the 6'8", 6'9" freaks over here and the 6'8", 6'9" freaks over here, they might be able to swap out. Maybe. But I do get what he's saying because that is difficult. Because if you go on average throughout the NFL, you're going to run onto guys that are badass NFL players, but they might be like 6'1" and 6'1", 220, 230, whatever that is, badass linebacker. But if you got him on an NBA floor,
yeah, like Odell,
look pretty stiff.
I've seen Odell Beckham Jr. throw down some nasty slam dunk contest type of ish, but he's what, 6'2", 6'1"? He'd be a point guard in the league. That'd be tough. That'd be tough for him. Looking at those guys, kind of like a Charlie Ward that played both in college.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Gonzalez, Julius Peppers, Antonio Gates.
Yeah, somebody just texted Gates and Peppers because they're thinking tight ends and D ends.
But those guys like 6'4", those guys were big. Julius Peppers was a big for Dean Smith.
Yeah. Right. Oh, no, he was such a freak.
He was,
God,
you know what I'm saying? But he was 6'6".
Yeah.
6'5", 6'6", maybe 6'7" on his best day. I get what people are losing their minds now talking about NBA players who are soft. I get that. There are some guys that would have no chance. They go across that middle and get touched. They be down for months. But I think it is a little bit easier for a guy in the league like a Anthony Mason or a Charles Oakley type to go in the NFL and maybe be a special teams guy just because they're so athletic and strong.
Somebody said, I agree with him. LeBron James would be a monster of a tight end. That's been discussed for years. And then this one says, where to go? Oh, they said, does that mean we're going to see Joe Thomas playing in the NBA? No. Joe Thomas playing power forward? No, I don't think that's going to happen.
When we talked about this during our prep, you compared LeBron, Dalton Schultz.
That is not what I did.
I almost lost my mind. I almost said, Chad, you have to do this show by yourself. We're putting these two guys in the same category.
No, I was just trying to help Paul George make his point, and I thought of LeBron as a tight end, which everybody always says, and then I thought of who's the first tight end that pops in my head? Dalton Schultz was the first one because I just read a story about the Cowboys maybe needing a tight end at 26 because Dalton Schultz is moving on to the Texans. So I brought up Dalton Schultz. I thought that would help Paul George's argument. I was not comparing LeBron to Dalton Schultz. Dalton wishes I was, but I was not.
Oh, the fact that they're in the same sentence is just beautiful to me.
Dalton's going to tell people about that 2 years from now.
He might.
That we mentioned.
He might down there in Houston for that $9 million that he took. But Randy Moss, he was a hell of an athlete, good basketball player. Him and Jason Williams, White Chocolate.
That's right.
They did some things back in their high school days growing up in West Virginia.
Randy would have a possibility. That dude was freaky enough and loose enough. I don't think he would have been tight on a court if he was trying to play NBA.
No.
He could do it.
Yeah,
but yeah, on
6'4", 6'5".
On average, I get what Paul George is saying. It is there's more of a specialized, focused skill set involved with the NBA. Just a little more focused in. And again, when you're talking about all the way across an entire NFL roster and go to, you can go cherry pick certain guys, but across the whole group on average, it's probably harder to go that way than go the other way.
Somebody said Karl Malone.
Oh my God.
Oh man, that dude.
Karl Malone as a
defensive end?
D lineman, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. God, what was Karl? 6'9"?
Yeah, he was legit 6'9".
Dude, I'm gonna tell you what. I've never seen Karl Malone play live, but while I was doing women's basketball, I got to call a game with Louisiana Tech on the other side.
His daughter
was playing, and he walked in the gym. It was crazy how, just you could feel the murmur in the room. It was sort of like, what's going on? And I look over, wow.
Hide your daughters.
Okay, that's not why I brought it up.
That's not the murmur you heard?
That's not
watch your kids. There's Carl, watch your daughter. Let's go.
To be fair, I had headphones on, so I'm not sure what the murmur was. All I remember thinking was that might be the largest human being I have ever seen in a room that I'm in, ever. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Height, bulk, thickness, shoulders, legs, the hip. Oh, my God. He was enormous walking in that room.
Gary Payton, cornerback. Somebody said linebacker. I don't know about that. But
Gary Payton is a corner. Because Gary in his prime was he like a 6'2", 6'3" kind of guard?
Yeah.
Right in that area?
Yeah, he's exactly what the corners are nowadays.
Yeah.
What they're looking for, those Sauce Gardners and stuff like that.
The only problem with Gary, though, is he had that timid attitude. He didn't really think he was a bat. No, never mind. He would be fine. No, he'd be
talk
fine.
About tough.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Going up in Oakland? Shoot.
Yeah, that's a great point. That really is what that discussion needs to become, whether you ultimately agree with Paul George or not, is thinking of those guys that truly could have done either one if they really wanted to. Guys that you could translate it to that other sport. That's a fun discussion. I had not thought of Karl Malone as an edge rusher. I've never thought of that in my life, but that's dangerous. If that dude goes in a three-point stance, coming off the edge at you, my God.
Yeah, if you tried to find just like every position to put somebody from the NBA in the NFL, I think you could. Because somebody said Grandma Mall linebacker. Yo,
Larry Johnson could,
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might be the fun exercise both ways. But you're right. You could fill out an NFL team with the NBA guys first, and then turn it around and see what kind of a starting five or even a roster of 12 you could put together going the other way.
Think about Kawhi Leonard, wide receiver with those hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like all the one-handed snacks that he would get.
Well, you know what? Let's get modern, Zay. What kind of football player would Victor Wembanyama be? What do you make him? Can you make him a football player at 7'4"?
Nope.
Probably not.
He couldn't be one.
No,
he couldn't be one. Just too
And that's
light.
a good example of when you are so specialized to one, you may not work in the other.
Yeah.
You just might not because they're a badass. Like, think about who's a badass in the NFL that would make absolutely no sense in the NBA.
Aaron Donald.
That's probably fair.
6'1", 300 pounds.
I was about to go to a quarterback like Rodgers and Brady. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Not at all.
Ezekiel Elliott. What kind of basketball player would he be?
Yo, have you seen the video of Zeke and drills and stuff, jumping around?
Oh, is he trying to make me believe?
Dodging those trash cans and stuff, making noise every time Zeke make it do. I'm like, okay, Zeke, you back, baby. You back.
But he's Michael Jackson from back in the day with all the sounds.
Look at the video. Every time he makes a cut, makes a sharp move. Because every time you do that, you feel like you're doing something extra, something special. Like when you're shadow boxing or something, getting ready, you're like, woohoo, yeah, I'm really getting,
that's why
hissing noises and stuff. Oh, yeah.
That's why they started telling tennis players to scream back in the day because it's supposed to add something to it. Oh, my God. That was like a wave that went through tennis.
Serena Williams took that and ran with it.
That's the wave that went through tennis that never really left. Monica Seles kind of got it started, and they haven't all shut up since. Everybody's still screaming and hollering and grunting and groaning out there. Good conversation there. Check out those Paul George comments, and if you want to give us your thoughts on it, Specs text line 337-3776. All right, we'll get you stems and seeds before we get out of here, get you all set up for the spring game tomorrow and that big baseball series that starts tonight. Don't move. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Wow. That sounds like a Friday right there. Just about to wrap it up on this Friday. Do I have a shot here?
Nope.
All right, hit me.
I mean, you heard his voice, or he said his name at the beginning of the song.
Oh, well, then I totally missed it. Who is it?
Waka Flocka Flame.
Waka Flocka Flame?
Waka Flocka Flame.
That's a lot going on in a name.
Yo.
Waka Flocka Flame.
I don't know where Flocka's at right now. What a run.
Man, it's good stuff. All right.
Maybe a year run. Had 3 hits.
Yeah.
All club bangers.
Now he's chilling somewhere?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, he's chilling.
Yeah, I could see this one getting a room going.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Waka Flocka Flame, Gucci Mane, Steve Miller Band, Deep Purple, Green Day, Duran Duran. They could all get a room going in their way, in their prime.
Yeah, be careful when the song's on. This is like mosh pit stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Be careful.
Yeah, don't be carrying a drink across the floor. Be careful. Head on a swivel. That Big Mo beat getting us started this hour as well. Thanks to Zay for all the great music. Thanks to you for checking out the show today. This might be my favorite text of the day. Thank you to this texter. You can eliminate 30 of 32 NFL quarterbacks from going to the NBA. I'll let you figure out which 2 would make it. Well done. Well done. Well played.
I would say Sam Darnold and Drew Lock.
That is it.
Drew Lock's not starting.
That's interesting. I thought they were leaning towards Justin Herbert and Derek Carr, but that was just me.
There it is.
That was just
there
me.
There it is. You got it.
That was just me, you know. All right. So thank you for all the great texts today. That Paul George comment about it's easier for NBA guys to be NFL players than it would be for NFL players to be NBA guys got that discussion started. All right. Let's get you some stems and seeds here and start with a little good news in baseball.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. I know we rip on umpires sometimes, but we don't want them to be seriously injured. And one of them looked like he was earlier in the week, but this Larry Vanover dude, he's okay. He's the umpire that got hit in the head with a relay throw in a Cleveland Yankees game earlier in the week. My man took it off the dome. He stood back up, Zay, grabbed his sunglasses and hat, and he was going to put them back on and go back to work.
That's what I'm talking about, Larry.
The trainers walked out there, started talking to him, and I'm sure they said something like, hey, Larry, we got to take you out of here, man. We're going to make sure you're okay. They released him from the hospital today. He's good.
Yeah, Larry probably let them know, I'm still getting paid for this, right? Because if I'm not, I ain't leaving.
Right.
They said, yeah, probably. Okay, I'll leave.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they took care of him that way. That is crazy. Speaking of baseball, Texas and Baylor get started tonight at 6:30. Lucas Gordon will be on the hill, 6:15 pregame. That means the guys will be done up in Georgetown a little early. They're going to be up there at Ron Hoover RV and Marine Center in Georgetown. Go see Rod and Harge up there today. Zay, I keep hearing Texas baseball fans not demanding, but expecting a sweep. Do you think that's fair in this series? Baylor's not great. They're 4-8 in conference.
Yeah, it's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 4-8. This is the University of Texas. University of Texas at Omaha for a reason.
Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to sweep teams like this.
All
Absolutely.
Right. Fair enough. Texas at Baylor. Will it be the last time in Waco? We shall see. Zay, let me get you on the record tonight. Chicago, Miami. Who's going to be the 8th seed?
Miami.
All right, like Miami at home?
Yeah, I like Miami.
All right, you like Butler and the gang there. How about Oklahoma City at Minnesota? Who's the 8th seed in the West?
Yeah, as good as Josh Giddey and SGA are, I think Rudy Gobert coming back, that's going to make the difference. Got Minnesota.
One of the, depending on how you look at it, good things, bad things, whatever, about the NBA is when you have a series of games that normally tells you more of the truth. So let's see with these inconsistent teams who can win these 2 out of 3 situations and become the 8th seed tonight. We got 4 series getting started tomorrow. The other 4 will get started on Sunday.